Hope everybody had a good Wednesday, hump day. Man, I wasn't going to go live, but I felt like I should. So here I am. So today, Wrangler is 1 year sober. Congrats to Wrangler. No, that's not easy. Just going to try to give everybody a chance to get in here. Like I said, I hadn't planned on going live, but then I just decided I wanted to. So, one thing I forgot yesterday is if you guys know of the BTK. Yesterday was the 20-year anniversary that he was arrested. And I forgot about that. Yes. Yes, that's awesome. Keep it up, Wrangler. Listen, I think he will. He seems very happy. Seems to be doing very well. I think the only thing left is to have his family whole and get his kids. As a matter of fact, when I was talking to him earlier, he was on his way to church. And I'm so glad. I'm glad he's taken that route, and it seems to be helping him. So, hello, Bianca. You know, sometimes when you're sitting around, and I'm never just sitting around doing nothing. I wish I could say I'm just sitting around doing nothing, but I'm never just sitting around doing nothing. But I went all the way back to all the papers that I printed in the very beginning, and there's at least 5 notebooks full, ring binders full. And man, just starting over and just going back over everything. Absolutely everything. I didn't even realize it. I've got paperwork from before. There was even a tag order. So I've just been going over different things. I know the team's been working hard, and I actually haven't even been on Discord other than to post a few things today. Haven't hung out. I don't know, just a lot going through your head, going through my head. Couldn't even imagine. But sometimes when you think you got it rough, somebody else has got it way rougher. So, but yeah, when I realized today was Wrangler's year of sober, that's quite the accomplishment. And I do believe he'll keep up doing the right things, taking the right paths. I have no doubt in my mind. Do I think that his hardest roads he's already traveled? I don't know. I don't know. Everybody handles things differently. I just know that I care. And I know there's several others that care. Ostrich says, I feel I have been MIA this week, but have just had lots going on in evenings. I'll never feel bad, you know. There's really not been a lot going on. We've just been, me and Deb, we've just been, and several others, just digging and just going back over things and, trying to figure out, was the phones in the in the truck? Did they find Veronica and Jillian's phones, or did they not? Some of the paperwork says they did. Some says they didn't. And trying to sort through all that. Last night I gave myself the biggest migraine. Sometimes you just gotta set this stuff down and just say, okay, we just need a break. We just need to take a break. And obviously you guys care because you come. You come to the channel, we talk about it, we discuss it. And I know Wrangler watches. I just want him to know that he's not out there alone. And I think he knows that. So yeah, so yesterday, last night, like I said, I got a migraine. I was sitting here and realized that it was 20 years since the BTK had been caught. And I was like, man, it's been 20 years. And I remember when they caught Dennis Rader, my dad had already passed, but my grandpa was still alive. And that was the case that he worked. But I remember how I was scared when I graduated from high school. And actually, I moved out before I graduated from high school. And I'd be scared to go in my apartment. I'd always check my landline just to make sure that it worked. And I don't know why. I don't watch scary movies, but I don't know why I'm so into true crime. But something about true crime and getting justice it really gets me deep. And getting the right justice. You know, just getting what you feel is justice. It's got to be the right justice. You got to make sure you're getting the right people that gets convicted, and you get them all. And in this case, I know I bring up a lot of stuff, and it probably makes some upset. I don't live in the Panhandle, but I just can't imagine how you can have a good trial there with everybody knowing everybody's business and everybody knowing everybody. It really, really eats on me. I'm just kind of curious what you guys think. Oscar says, nope, he's not alone. There's lots of people cheering him on and praying for him. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I was listening to myself today. Yeah, sometimes I talk to myself. I have a filthy mouth. I really do. I don't know how many times I said the F word. So I'm going to work on that. Didn't realize that until I was talking to Wrangler, right? And I caught myself. I was like, damn, you got a filthy mouth, Rock. You need to just kill it down. Anyway, so we all get involved in this true crime. And first off, I'm going to say, if you don't like the channel or you don't like the channel you're at, I wouldn't even waste your time being there. There's so many channels out there, so many different creators that why be somewhere where you're unhappy? Why be in the back and be unhappy? Go somewhere where you're happy. I cuss a lot, also a lot. It's okay. I didn't realize how much I cuss till today, and I do cuss a lot. I guess I've never realized it. You know, when my dad was alive, um, and we would go out to the races. My dad raced race cars all growing up, and we'd go out to the races, and you know, men didn't say the F word around women. One of my dad's best friends, Joe Hayes, I mean, he would really get upset about it. I don't think I cussed like back then, like I do now. Today it really hit me. It's like, damn, Rock, you got a filthy mouth. You got to stop. So I'm going to work on that. I'm going to work on how I talk as far as, especially the F bomb. It's like it's just part of my everyday language now. And I seem to say it a lot. That's all I need is my grandkids running around saying the F bomb. But anyway, I wanted to go live because obviously, and I said this to Wrangler, I knew it was his year because he went to jail a year ago. And listen, sometimes it takes going to jail or something drastic happening to change the way your life is. My son-in-law and my daughter, we went through a time with them, and man, I aged real fast over it. But the only thing that stopped my son-in-law, and he'll tell you, was going to jail and then looking at prison. It was just drugs. Drugs are everywhere. And you choose whether you use them or not. But anyway, even getting arrested and bonding him out didn't do any justice for my son-in-law. It took him getting arrested again, and he was going to prison. And luckily, they have such a thing called drug court. And I knew a few people that ran drug court. And I was able to get him in there. And he worked the program. He did it right. He's been clean and sober for, I'd say, probably 10 years now. So, do I think Wrangler will stay sober? I do. And I know he's got God in his life. His family's very religious. Him and his wife and the kids. And but I sit here and I think, and it's like, sometimes people, I'm not talking about Wrangler at this point, but sometimes if you're going through stuff, it's just really hard to get sober. And listen, there's all kinds of addicts. Whether it's, I'm addicted to cigarettes. I know I should quit smoking cigarettes, but I don't. There's gambling addictions. I mean, you got addictions everywhere. Hey, Dad. It's good to see you. I usually spend a lot of time talking to Dad every day. I've had a headache from hell, and it's been a long day, and keep going through my books. So I needed a break. Take a break, come see what you guys are doing. And like I said, I know Wrangler will pop in, check on the channel here and there. His wife does. And from the get-go, I didn't know Wrangler, okay? But I knew he was going to need somebody. And I couldn't see anything, and I still haven't. I've not seen anything where he knew any of this was going to happen. So, with that said, I chose to stand by him, and I will continue to stand by him and love him and try to be a good person for him and this group. Girly Girl says, I'm addicted to work. I need a vacation. Well, the sad thing about work is you got to do it to pay the bills. Like, we know that. So, I don't know if it's addicted to work or got to pay them bills. The bills don't pay themselves. So, I get it. Just like Rick. It's crazy. I mean, I think he gets 8 weeks a year. He hardly ever takes any of it. And then when I do ask him to take a day, it's like the end of the world. Because when he goes back to work, then he's got double the work he's got to catch up. So, it is what it is. So anyway, I was watching, like I said, I was sitting here thinking last night, I was like, oh my gosh, what is today? damn, it's 20 years since they caught the BTK. That's just crazy. And then the Carr brothers. I noticed that a new documentary had come out about the Carr brothers. And I went with my grandpa every day and sat in court for the BTK, Dennis Rader, and for the Carr brothers. And I watched that documentary last night, and I actually knew one of the victims, and it was one that survived from the Carr brothers. And I learned something new by watching that documentary last night. I didn't realize that she survived. Luckily, she had a butterfly barrette in the back of her head, holding her hair up. And when they shot the other four, they shot them in the back of the head, and they shot her in the back of the head. And the barrette ricocheted the bullet. Anyway, it's something you guys might want to watch. It's on A&E. It's called, I'll even post it. I'll show you what it is. It's a very interesting, crazy thing that happened. Let's see here. It's called The Wichita Horror. I'm going to show you guys it. Many. There's been a lot of documentaries, but this one is recent. And I did hit the guy up and asked him to look into a couple more cases. And I'll tell you the cases that I told him too. Actually, I can show you. But anyway, and I'll get to the comments in a minute. But I want to make sure that this shows up. I always turn my TV on too so I can see where you guys are at in the live. Okay, here it is. This one came out 2 days ago. And my kids' dad helped arrest Reginald Carr. Anyways, this is so crazy. And I remember how horrifying this case was too. And one thing I didn't realize, so the two brothers, they were from Dodge City. Anyway, they were in Wichita. They took one of our baseball players and made him go to the ATM, made him draw money out. Anyway, I don't want to ruin it for you, but I learned something by watching this, the ending of it, of what happened with the survivors that survived this crime. This crime went on for a while. I want to say a little over a week. So there were several victims. But there was two survivors in different circumstances. One of them was a baseball player, and then one of them was one of the five. And I don't want to ruin it for you, but I was like, man, I'm really glad I watched that documentary because I couldn't wait for Rick to get home and tell him, you know, I saw a documentary last night on the Carr brothers. And did you know? And last year, I think it was last year, listen, I don't know about anybody else, but time goes fast for me. It goes really fast for me. So trying to think of dates and when things happen just goes so fast. Let's see here. It is Reginald Carr and Jonathan Carr. They killed 5, attempted to kill 1, and robbed 1. And that was December 14th, 2000. It went from 1999 to 2000. They got capital murder, aggravated kidnapping, robbery, rape. I will tell you, you have to have a stomach for it because it's one of the most gruesome crimes that I've seen and the things that they did. And I'm going to be honest with you. some of the stuff that these brothers did was not in that documentary, and I'm glad that they made the victims do some really horrible things, really horrible things. Let's see here. Let me go to chat. Yeah, okay. You're such an amazing person at Rock Chalk True Crime. Appreciate all you do so very much, and get to see you also. Oh, thanks, Bianca. You do a lot too. Like, I just love you. I love all of you. I even love the haters in the back. Girly girl, I feel the same way. It's exhausting. Everyone in this community, I appreciate. Yeah, we got a great community. I agree. Also, Bianca. So it was December 19th, 1999, and it went into 2000. Um, they went on a spree, and like I said, they took a baseball player, abducted him, made him go to the ATM, draw out money. Then they took a librarian a couple days later, made her draw out money, but they shot her, and she lived for a while. And the story, the way I remember it, is a little different than the way it's told here. And back then, we had a chiropractor here, Dr. Beck, and he was going through a divorce, and his wife lived in a duplex. And she thought some guys were following her. And she hurried up and got home and got her car into her duplex, and then didn't think anything else about it. Well, these brothers went and knocked on the door of a duplex, which just happened to be their neighbors, and a guy answered the door. And there was 5 people staying there that night. Several teachers, several English teachers. Anyway, it was definitely a night of horrors that I definitely suggest, if you have the time, go watch it. It's very interesting. Like I said, there's one survivor, and that Brett saved her life. That the things that she had to endure in the ending, I was like, wow. I'm so glad I watched it, because it talks about her and what happened afterwards, and where she's at kind of in her life. So I liked it. I liked it a lot. So anyway, I told this guy. He immediately responded too when I had said something on here. Looks like quite a few people's been watching it now. But I had said something on the fact that we also, there's so much crazy in the world. But there was another case that we had, and he was a sheriff officer. And his dad was a well-known trooper out of Kingman. And this guy, he was a training officer for Sedgwick County here. Anyway, he shot his wife in the head and caught the house on fire. Sea-Cat. In Kansas. And I have not went and watched all them. Let's see here, I'll show you. But there's quite a few of them too. Anyway, I told this guy, you really ought to go check out Sea-Cat. He was an officer, and his family was all officers. Listen, his dad, which is probably not alive anymore, would write his own mom a ticket there in Kingman. He was a trooper out of Kingman. But yeah, this was his wife. Anyway, he shot her and then burnt the house down. And anyway, It's a crazy case. So if you're into Kansas cases, I would go check it out. Go check it out. If I could find something that just showed a little bit of it, I'd play it for you. But let's just do this.
Like the mother of their two children,
Hey,
Vashti
stop.
Seacat. Ms. Hostetler, you said something that really caught my attention. You said you begged her, Vashti, your daughter, not to serve him with divorce papers. Explain.
I asked her to separate from him, to give him time to become acclimated to it, and to let some time pass so that she could get safely away.
Did you fear for her safety?
Oh, yes. For 2 months, I had talked to her about this, and I had women that I regularly prayed with, and I had asked them to pray for her safety without going into detail.
Oh, Ms. Hostetler, that hurts me so bad to hear you say that you asked her not to file those papers, that you were afraid for her. Did you tell her you were afraid? What did she say back?
She said she didn't think he would do anything while she had the boys, and that she would be careful.
What was the chances of getting Nancy Grace? Jesus. Of all the ones I could pick. Anyway, if you're a true crime person and you want to go watch something that happened in Kansas, this one was quite the ordeal. Like I said, his dad was a big time trooper. He came from a family of law enforcement. Let's see if this one says a little better to tell you a little bit.
In the spring of 2011, Vashti Seacat was a devoted mother, raising 2 boys in the small Kansas town of Kingman with her husband, Brett. They were a portrait of the all-American family, in love and raising 2 boys.
Of all the people she dated, Brett was the only one that I said, whoa, something's a little off here.
He didn't seem to like people. That's the best way I could put it. He didn't like anyone, but he loved her.
I had a dog that slept in the room with us. He started barking, and so we woke up, and it was like the 4th of July. Bang, 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 bang. We're like, what in the heck is going on? So I go out the back door of my house, and I can see that the Seacat house is on fire. I'm yelling, call 911, call 911. And we run out the front door, and there's already people in the neighborhood that are out in the front yard. The fire trucks had not even showed up yet.
911, do you have an emergency? What's the problem? Calm down. There's a fire, and my wife is, she shot herself, but she's in the fire. I'm in my Seacat. My wife is upstairs. I'm going to go upstairs and try and get out.
I'll never forget, once they got it all put out, one of the police officers said, we know where everybody is. I was like, what do you mean you know where everybody is? I mean, was the people in the house, not in the house? I mean, what?
My home phone rings, and it said Vashti across my caller ID, and I answered it in a panic with, Vashti, are you okay? It was Brett on the phone, and he said, I need you to hand the phone to Jeff. And I said, Brett, I need to talk to my sister. And he said, I need you to hand the phone to Jeff. And I heard him say, Jeff, I need you to put on your military poker face. Vashti killed herself and then set the house on fire.
It must have been between 4 and 5 a.m. The phone rang and it was my stepmother. And she was crying and said that Brett and Vashti's house was on fire. Vashti was missing, but Brett had gotten out. I asked about the kids and they were out.
Brett managed to get his 2 sons out of the fire unharmed.
I had 12 voicemails pop up. I remember thinking, what in the world did I miss last night? And I called Jeff and I said, Jeff, what's going on? I can't remember if he said Vashti's been killed or Vashti's dead, but he told me that she was gone. And I remember kind of digesting that.
My phone rings and it's my son. He says, Vashti has been shot and killed and the house was on fire. I was in complete shock.
I was rocking in bed and I kept saying, he said it backwards. He said it backwards. I was immediately picking up, killed herself, and then set the house on fire.
Oh, smoke everywhere. We have a possible shooting and a fire. Get everybody out of the house. Come on. Get out. Oh, God, there's smoke inside here.
I can tell you from working with Brett for probably 2 years.
Like I said, he was a law enforcement officer. He was a training officer. Come from a family of troopers, law enforcement. This case was a hard one too. Very hard.
That is not how that man sounds.
For many, that phone call, that 911 call that Brett makes was a lie. It was scripted.
Are there kids? I got my voice out.
When he was running up the stairs and out of breath, you could just totally tell the entire thing was staged.
Hurry! 255. B is a boy. I think she shot herself.
Reported as a shooting of fire. We don't have the victim. There's a victim.
When the first responders come on scene, he is there telling the same story.
Police department! Where at? Is there anybody inside? There's someone. Is she inside? Yes, she shot herself. It's gone.
From the very beginning, his story was that his wife was so depressed that she killed herself. He was sleeping on the couch because that was the arrangement, and he gets a phone call. He says Vashti calls him on the phone and says, get the kids out of the house. Says he hears a noise.
He told me he did not equate it to a gunshot at that time. It sounded like a really loud door slamming.
He runs upstairs and he sees that the master bedroom is on fire.
He opened that bedroom door into the master bedroom and saw her on the bed with flames around the bed. He tried to wake her up, said the house is on fire, no movement.
Okay. What room was she in, Brett? Okay, that's her. I'm trying to look her up. Let's go back. I saw there's blood everywhere.
He tried to pick her up, he said, but her weight and a ragdoll body, that's a hard thing to manage.
He told police, he drops his wife, runs out of the room, and gets the children out of the house.
Mr. Seacat said he then re-entered the house, went up the stairs, and was going to try to once again rescue Mrs. Seacat, but the smokes and fire overwhelming, and so he had to leave.
I knew. I knew he killed her.
My first thought was Brett. There was no doubt in my mind that Brett was the one that did it.
I called the Kingman County Sheriff. I said, I don't know what you think you have going on down there, but I'm going to tell you, you're investigating a homicide, not a suicide.
Brett Seacat had murdered his wife and then set the house on fire. I thought that from day one.
The focus on Brett was swift, and investigators were soon questioning one of their own.
You're someone I know. No use getting mad at me because I'm being very nice. I know you are. It's just you have no idea how impossible it is. Well,
So again, because I don't want to get the screen hit either. Does anybody remember this or know about this? Because I definitely remember it. I got one ticket a long time ago, and it was from CCAT. And maybe it was his half brother, but I really thought it was his dad. And anyway, it was a long time ago, and actually ended up getting out of that ticket. It was kind of crazy. But this guy worked for, I believe it was Sedgwick County. He worked. I haven't went back and watched it. I saw that it came up last night when I was looking, when I was watching the Wichita Horror. And this was a crazy case too.
the person killed her.
It seems different than a lot of interrogations I've been involved in.
Law enforcement was particularly careful in this case because it did involve a fellow law enforcement officer. I think they wanted to be meticulous in their investigation.
Problem is, Brett, you're in love. You're still in love with her. Yeah, I am. And she was going to leave you. There was no doubt about that.
She would call and say, he's bullying me. Do you think he would really kill me if I go ahead and file for divorce?
They were high school sweethearts.
He was her first love. He pursued her. It was very flattering to her.
They seemed to be a very happy couple.
He didn't like anyone, but he loved her.
Reported as a shooting and fire. Okay, we still have the victim. There's the victim.
I can see that the CCAT house is on fire. We're like, what in the heck is going on?
911, do you have an emergency? Yes, there's a fire.
The emotions that he's exuding don't seem real.
She shot herself.
You could just totally tell the entire thing was staged.
This is what a crazy person does.
Lies, crimes, and video. New episode.
Anyway, something to check out. Especially if you're from Kansas and you like to go over cases that was in Kansas. Again, he was a law enforcement officer. This was crazy. This was another crazy one. Just when you think you've seen the worst of the worst. I'll tell you the Carr Brother ones, though. That one's really, you have to have a stomach for the Carr Brother one. That one's really rough to listen to. Let's see here. Her brother did an interview.
Thank you for joining us. Nearly 2
Oh,
weeks
gosh, good.
after a house.
Okay. So there's Jeff Burden, who's on News Channel 3 now. I told you I went to high school with him. He's still a newscaster, but now he's on News Channel 3. And back then, I think he was he on 12 or 10? I don't remember. He was on a different channel. But let's play it.
Fire claims the life of a Kingman wife and mother. Her husband sits in jail tonight.
Brett Seacat has been arrested for the murder of Vashti Forrest Seacat. Cake's Jared Cirillo covering the story since day one.
And I went to school. Jared Cirillo is younger than me, but he also went to Hayesville.
Here now with more. Jared.
Jeff, today's development actually confirms widespread rumor and speculation that, in fact, Brett Seacat was a suspect in the fire and murder. He was arrested in Kingman today and has now been booked into the Kingman County Jail on 1 count of murder, 1 count of aggravated arson, and 2 counts of aggravated child endangerment. 16 days before the massive fire engulfed the second story of the Seacat home in Kingman, Vashti Seacat filed for divorce. Brett Seacat was served the papers just 3 days before she died. Her friends and family told Cake News that Vashti was allowing Brett to sleep on the couch until he could line up a place to stay.
You're crying over your loss of a daughter for my parents, a sister for myself and my sister. And then in the next minute, you're laughing that if there was a crime committed, it looks like the justice system is working.
Brett Seacat had been employed as a police instructor at the Kansas Law Enforcement Training Center in Hutchinson. Before that, he worked for the Sedgwick County Sheriff's Department for about 10 years. As to whether he is still employed at the KLETC, we do not know.
It's hard to explain the emotion that you feel that if something like that did happen, somebody didn't get away with it.
A few days after the fire, friends and family held a candlelight vigil to mourn Vashti Seacat. Brett Seacat showed up with the children. The Seacat kids are now currently in police protective custody. The Attorney General's office will be prosecuting the case along with Kingman County Attorney Matthew Rickey.
If this is something that somebody was capable of doing, you got to believe, where could that start or stop?
And as we ended our conversation on the phone this evening, Rich Forrest told me his family also wants to send their heartfelt condolences to Brett's side of the family. There is no word yet on when Brett Seacat might make an initial appearance before a judge.
Anyway, there's two cases there that I'm giving you guys that if you're from Kansas and you want to go look at, go check them out. The Carr brothers and then the Wichita one is, both of them are really rough cases. Really rough. Anyway, I'm not going to stay on here very long. I mostly wanted to come on and let everybody know that today was a year for Wrangler being sober. He's doing great. Spent some time talking to him. And he had to go to church. So it was interesting. I try not to bug them a lot. I usually wait for them to call me. But again, I was going over the paperwork last night. And I thought, I think tomorrow is, actually it was this morning. It was about 3 in the morning. It's Wrangler's recovery day. So you're sober. We do congratulate him and wish him the best. So I just, I feel so bad for Veronica and Jillian's family. I do. Everybody, their friends, everybody. I also really feel bad for Wrangler too. He don't have his kids. He never lost custody of his kids. And, of course, his mom is in jail. And he lost the mom to his kids. It's a lot. It's a lot to take in. And so then I put my notebooks down and I'm going to watch some TV. And then the Wichita Horrors come on and I watched that. And I was like, so I guess I'd say that, you never forget them. But sometimes, I'm talking about the cases. You don't forget the people ever. I've never forgot the people. But the cases, you sometimes, you kind of drop it in the back of your head. You know what I mean? And go, until something brings it up. And then you're like, man, that was horrible. And then here we are working a case with Veronica and Jillian, trying to figure out how did it get this bad? What led up to this? What causes people to do things that they do? And Jillian and Veronica's case, it went nationwide, it went worldwide. And a lot of that I put on social media. One thing about social media that I don't like is, for example, I don't do a lot of Facebook, but we have Sedgwick County Scanner app in Facebook. And people are posting things immediately when they see it. And one thing bad about social media is it seems like with social media, it's so fast. People find out things so fast that when I read stuff on it, I go, damn, what if their parents or their family members reading this? I mean, because people post a picture and what kind of vehicle it is, and I mean, I just couldn't imagine finding out through social media about some of the crimes that happen. Look how far we've gone, I guess. It used to be you didn't find out things so fast. Now, I mean, if you have a friend, something happens to a friend of yours, you pretty much know immediately because of social media. It's really interesting. And sometimes it's a bad thing. It's a bad thing in the fact that, yeah, we all want to know, but we got to think about the families and what they're reading. It's just crazy. It seems like, I don't know about anybody else, but it seems like since we had COVID, more people's on social media. Because a lot of us was stuck inside. I was at the lake house the whole time, so, I watched a lot of TV and stuff. And yeah, definitely, it can be a blessing and a curse. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see here. I do want to go over the, here's, let's see here. That's a different one. On the Dabbles channel, I am going to go over the Proud Boys. I've been really digging into them since I watched the news conference they did the other day. Again, I thought the Proud Boys was, I was just seeing what's in the news. I thought the Proud Boys, honestly, was a white supremacist group. I didn't realize it was a bunch of veterans. Very interesting. And I was looking, I was trying to think if I've even been on Facebook today before I decided to go live. I don't think I've been on Facebook today. Let's see here. Last year, a crash with a fire killed the 2 people in the car. Someone posted the video. That's how families saw and learned of the accident. It's off. I know. Listen, I think about that. I want to show you guys something else that is. Let's see here. Let me pull it up. Now, I've told you guys 1,000 times I'm not a big Facebook person, okay? And I'm really not. I'm really not a big Facebook person. But let's see here. Let's see if I can share my screen. There is a page from Guyman. And I subscribed to it a long time ago. I mean, since this case, but it was way back in the beginning. Is this page? Let me see if I can find it for you. This page is very interesting. Let's see here. And there's New Breed. I guess he was live. That's great. I didn't even see that. Let's see here. It's called Diamond. Let me just go over here to the groups. So you guys right here. Texas County complaints, comments, compliments, and reviews. And you can post anonymously, but I was looking through here last night. And look, on Wednesdays, see, I don't know how I feel about this, but on Wednesdays, they put who was arrested throughout the week. It's kind of crazy, huh? And this post is showing arrest information only. Anyway, but they put all kinds of things in Diamond, but here it was. So somebody had just shared this on February 18th. But Lauren, they'd copied Lauren saying, I thought I had not seen this part of it. And I'm going to read it to you because I thought Lauren did a really good job on this. And I'll catch up with chat here in just a second. But if you're a Facebook person, go join this Texas County Complaints, Comments, and Compliments because there's quite a bit of stuff in there. If you're following the heartbreaking case of the Sweet Kansas Moms, the 2024 murders of Veronica Butler and Jillian Kelly, this is a must read. Kevin McIntyre, the District 1 Drug Task Force agent, once charged with embezzlement in 2007, has personal ties to lead defendant Tiffany Adams. They served together on the Cimarron County Memorial Hospital Board and had other personal connections per locals in the community. In 2023, McIntyre arrested Adams' son, Wrangler Rickman, at the request of her boyfriend, Tad Cullen, who is now also accused of murdering Veronica and Jillian. In what could be a small-town logics, DA George Buddy Leach, the man prosecuting the double murder case, allegedly has known the aforementioned two defendants for a decade. In another red flag, Cullen was arrested in 2023 for feloniously pointing a firearm at Adams' son Wrangler, a crime that carries a 1 to 10 year prison sentence, yet Leach and Judge Christine Larson, who, by the way, was also the judge in the Butler-Rickman-Adams custody battle, let Coleman walk free after paying a $10,000 fine. But what does Oklahoma Watch allege? According to their investigation, DA Buddy Leach and Kevin McIntyre were allegedly running a trucking shakedown scheme in Texas County, Oklahoma, under a public safety program. Here's how it worked. Truckers were pulled over under questionable circumstances. Instead of receiving a normal ticket, they got vague notices with no court date or fine listed, just a number to call. When they called, they were told to pay an inflated fine, often $360, or face a warrant for their arrest. This brought in over $2.1 million from 2019 to 2024 and bypassed the court system entirely. By keeping the fines off the books, the DA's office avoided federal anti-masking laws that prevent commercial drivers from hiding violations. Quoted directly from the article, now practically speaking, the role of the Drug Task Force was whatever District Attorney Leach said it was. I've always said my job is whatever the boss tells me my job is, McIntyre said. So when he calls and says, hey, I need you to go and do whatever, that's what I'm going to do. 2 days after Oklahoma Watch visited Guyman to interview McIntyre and retrieve official documents related to the warrant for Voda's arrest, the DA's office suddenly ended the public safety emphasis program. Leach refused to comment for this story. Is McIntyre blaming Leach? Question. Everything points to an ongoing investigation into Leach, which seems inevitable at this point. Should a special prosecutor have been hired to prosecute the Kansas Moms case in the first place? I truly believe more people should be charged in the death of Jillian and Veronica, but that's just me, she says. And this case is far from over. And I agree. This case is far from over. And then you can go in and those comments and, this guy says I posted it here a week ago, but he didn't have Lauren's comments on there. But I don't want to get in trouble with them at Facebook, but there's some pretty interesting comments in here. I'm just going to tell you. So you guys should go check out this Texas Complaints because I found it very interesting. Very interesting. But I've said all along, I think the case should be moved. And I still feel that way. I mean, everybody knows everybody. And how do you get enough jurors? Because everybody knows everybody's business down there. I don't know. And just going back over this case and thinking about things, it seems to me, I don't know about you guys, I'm just going to tell you how I feel. These are my opinions. I can't speak for anybody else. They're my opinions. But I feel like Cora's not telling the truth, for one. I don't think she's telling the truth. She says that Cole didn't know till a couple of days before, but then you got CW saying that Cole was with him on Veronica's birthday last year on the first attempt, which I want to bring up. Veronica's birthday is the 28th, so this will be their first year without Veronica on her birthday in a couple days, so we need to keep in mind of that too. But so everybody knows I'm not a fan of Kevin McIntyre at all. Not a fan at all. And I think something needs to be done with this guy, because I also know that he arrested Wrangler. I also know that he went a couple times when Wrangler went to get his kids. And the old sheriff, I want to say his name was Carson. I wrote it down. Oh, I don't even know where I put it. But I think it was Carson. And supposedly he told Carson, I'm in charge now. And he threatened Wrangler. And he told Wrangler, now this is what I've been told. He told Wrangler, you got two choices. You can leave the kids here, or I can take them. And then they will go into custody, and they won't be together, and they'll be stuck in different states. And then none of us will know where they're at. So I'm at a point where what is the job of the DA task force, for one? And why do they have a DA task force? That's the other thing. Are you in a state that has a DA task force? Why? Why do you have a DA task force? I don't understand. Like here we have our city police, then you have your sheriffs, and then you have the state troopers or highway patrol, whichever one you call them. Then you have the KBI, and then it's federal. Okay? In Oklahoma, is this how your system's working? You got city police, and then the sheriff trumps the city police, and then what? State troopers are then, because I know you got state troopers, I've seen them, or highway patrol. You know, they're above the sheriff, and then what? Does DA task force just trump it off? Is their job everything? I can't seem to find out what exactly is the job of a DA task force agent. I'm just really curious. What the job of a DA task force agent is. I'm going to look it up again. So they do everything. They write tickets. They do child custody and tell the sheriff, hey, you're no longer in charge of this. I'm going to do it. I don't know. And is that really extra money that taxpayers should be paying for? I mean, listen, I know you got DEA task force, you got the Marshals task force, but a DA task force, a district attorney task force, like, does your state actually have what they call a district attorney task force? Because Google it. Because I can't find it. I cannot find where there's such a thing as a DA task force. Only in Oklahoma. And then it don't even tell me what their job consists of. So if somebody finds that or knows that, help me out. Because I'm trying to figure it out. What's so special about this DA task force job, and why does Oklahoma have it? And then the other thing is, let's not forget, grand jury indicted, they do an investigation for embezzlement. There is a burglary at the DA office that Kevin McIntyre was working out of, and all of a sudden he finds the money that's missing. And so he basically does a plea deal. His law enforcement license is taken for 3 years, not forever, just 3 years, and he has to pay the money back. They didn't even charge him with the fake burglary. So he moves to a different part of the state and gets another DA task force job. I mean, granted, from what I'm looking at, he ran a convenience store out by Keys. Then he was the chief of the Keys Police Department when they had a police department. And then something happened with the sheriff. And so he was an intern sheriff until election. He ran. He didn't get the sheriff job. And then gets offered the DA job. I mean, how does this work? I don't understand. Now I'm going to go to chat. So, but it's just really eating me up. It's eating me up big time. I want to know what a DA task force. I know their job is to do whatever the DA tells them to do. So you're telling me that these 5 task agents, they can do whatever they want in the 4 counties that the DA is in, which would be Beaver, Harper, Texas County, and Cimarron County. I just don't get it. Somebody needs to be asking questions. That's your taxpayer money. And when is election for DA? I mean, the other guy got sick. They put Buddy Leach in there. That's an elected position. When does that position come up for election? This is crazy. Okay, so let me go back and then I'm going to catch up with you guys. Christopher Hughes. I lost a friend that went live on Facebook while riding in a car that crashed and both died. Yeah, see, that's just, social media can be hard. I'm old, but I remember our radio stations telling arrests, accidents, and who was in the hospital. No HIPAA laws back then. KFDI did it here too, but they never gave names. They would say what happened, but they never gave names. Christopher Hughes says, our county lists every arrest within 24 hours of it happening. Do they do it on a Facebook post, or how do they do that? I'm curious. I was wondering if they wouldn't request bench trials. With their connections, might be easier to pull some shenanigans. I know you're talking about the 5. Yeah, I just don't know. And I'm going to be honest. Am I comfortable with this case being heard in Texas County? I am not. At all. I don't know anything about the judge, but we hear all the stories about the DA. The sheriff in Texas County is on the Brady list. Obviously, the drug task force guys should be on the list. I don't know what's going on there. We know that Oklahoma is not up to date, and with the Brady list, they're not. It's being looked at. I'll just say that they're not compliant. They're not compliant. Anyway, okay. So Christopher says DA task force, everything that the DA wants done, if it's credible or not. Exactly. Like, I don't understand. Somebody help me understand how this is okay. And I'm telling you, you go in and read the comments on that Facebook page. Nothing's new there. It's been that way for years. Like, the residents there, they can tell you, don't go to Goodwill because you're going to get a ticket. And it's going to be the DA task force that writes you. Like, the comments of the locals there is like, and they can comment anonymously. It's like, wow, okay. Ostrich says, we don't have a DA task, we just have a DTF. A drug task force. That's usually like a bunch of agencies. A drug task force. But in Oklahoma, they have a DA task force. So the DA has their own officers. And what's the job of them officers? I can't find it. What exactly is the job of a DA task force officer? Again, Christopher answered it right here. DA task force, everything the DA wants done, if it's credible or not. Okay. I think it's time that we really put some pressure on, because I could see being a local there not wanting to speak up. I could see that. And with that said, I'll speak up for you. I don't have a problem with it. You just have to be ready to back up the stories. You know, you tell me the stories, I'll speak up for you. But I need you to be able to back that. Christopher says in their local paper, you still have a local paper? The Great Bend Tribune. They put the arrest daily in there. Because the Wichita Eagle used to do it here. It's what it was called was a daily booking report. But it's very interesting. Iowa has DA task forces. A DA is more powerful than a judge. That is not true. A DA is not more powerful than a judge. I'm going to disagree with that. After all, DA decides who gets charged and with what. Actually, a DA is not more powerful than a judge. The judge rules. The DA can make all the deals he wants. The judge has the final say. And I'm going to remind you, everybody, of this. In this case, Buddy Leach can make all the deals he wants. That don't mean the judge has to take them. And I've seen it time and time again right here in Sedgwick County, where the DA's made a deal with somebody, and guess what? The judge says, we ain't doing that deal. That's too sweet of a deal. We are not having it. We are not going to have that around here. And they change it. So, I mean, usually the DA knows, they work with the judges enough or in front of the judges enough that they know how a judge is going to rule. Okay? So they pretty much know when they're giving the deal whether or not that's something that a judge will agree to or not. But I have seen it quite a few times where a judge says, no, we're not doing that. We're not going to allow that to happen. In Iowa, I know our Attorney General launches and appoints task forces. It's one thing to be an Attorney General. I'm just talking your district attorney here. How does a district attorney have their own task force? It just makes no sense. It makes no sense to me at all. Attorney General, your Attorney General is the top law enforcement of the state. In any state. The Attorney General of the state is your highest law enforcement of the state. Okay? Elected position is your highest in the state. But your DA is just your district DA. Why does he have a task force? Like, I don't understand. DA just decides what cases the county will prosecute. Exactly. The judge the judge does everything. But the Attorney General, you are correct. The Attorney General in every state is the highest of the land in that state. Okay. Yes, Leroy. I'm going to say it kind of smells. And I have people hitting me up all the time saying, Rock, this is nothing new. This has went on for years. We all know the DA is not a good person. He's not a good person. He hung out at Granny's house. I don't have proof of that because I don't live there. I can only repeat what people are telling me. And it just seems like they're telling me the truth. And so I would say, if this was my family, if these were my sisters, my mom, even my good friend, I'd be raising Cain to get that case moved. I really would. I would be getting it moved to make sure that they all get charged. It seems like there's just some shady stuff going around. We got court over here saying Cole knew nothing, and the only deal I want is that my daughter don't have to testify. Well, tell me this. Tell me this, guys. Because this is how I feel. I feel like, and this is my opinion, you can let me know what you think. I feel like court doesn't want CW to testify because she's trying to help Cole out. And I believe CW's testimony is going to conflict with Cora's. Because Cora's on the stand saying, they didn't want Cole involved at all. He only knew a couple days before because he drinks, and Granny was scared that he would start talking. But then CW's statement, he was one of the 5 that went back on February 28th. for the first attempt. It can't be both, is what I'm saying. So, do I believe that she's trying to keep her daughter from testifying because she cares about her and she don't want her having to go on the stand? I don't believe it for a minute. I'll just go straight out say it. I don't think her concern is about her daughter, because her daughter wasn't her concern before. Because she involved her daughter in this, told her things. Like, who does that? Who does that? Who sticks their daughter in the middle of stuff like this? Like, I'm glad her daughter knew, because it really helped things along here. But who does that? Let's see here. That's true. Judges can score. She does. Listen, so if I disagree with you with something, it don't mean that I'm mad. I know Nona don't think that. It don't mean that I'm mad. It's just that I disagree. I'm not one of these people that'll say, okay, yeah, I'm going to go along with what you're saying. I'm going to give you my honest opinion. And so that's what I try to do. I try not to let other people's opinions sway my opinion, but I do like to hear other people's opinions. Very much so. So Nona says, that's true. Judges can squash deals, but DAs decide who is going to get prosecuted. Well, exactly. DAs do decide who's going to get prosecuted. But if the DA decides, say, Mark Bennett here in Sedgwick County says, that's a buddy of mine, sister, we're not going to prosecute it. Listen, they can go to the Attorney General. There's a lot of places they can go and say, listen, things aren't right. And get it prosecuted. Like Lauren said, if you already know and the locals know that this DA knows these people, you could also get a appointed prosecutor. But this is where I'm at. You know, most people in these kind of charges are going to go with a jury trial. You have a right to a jury trial. Why wouldn't you take the jury trial? It only takes one for you to not be guilty. Now, if I was a family member, that would scare the hell out of me. It only takes one. And the family members don't choose who's going to be on the jury. That's going to be the defendant's attorneys and the DA. And then they agree. And we should do a mock jury. Should get most of you that's in the area, and we should do a mock jury and see what happens here. Anyway, maybe it's just how it works here. Maybe it's just how it works here. But AG decides when TF are needed, and a DA in that area will direct the TF. I believe usually the task forces, though, I mean, the U.S. Marshals, their task force, it might have 2 U.S. Marshals on it, and U.S. Marshal deputies on it, and then a couple of the sheriff deputies and a couple of city deputies, and they work the task force. And they call it Warrant Wednesdays, and that's when they go out and go after people that has warrants. So, I think Buddy's dad was a judge in Cimarron County. Yeah, I was told that his dad was a judge in Cimarron County. Somebody had told me that. I don't remember who, but somebody had said that. Was this like, does anybody know? Well, you know what? It don't matter. It don't matter if his dad was a good judge or a bad judge. It seems to me that it's common knowledge that Buddy Leach knows at least 2 of these 5. And he's going to be the one prosecuting? I don't know. I just think it's, there's a lot of shadiness going on here, if you ask me. It stinks. It stinks. It's really bothersome to me, because the worst thing that can happen is not getting the right justice. And I know we've said this 1,000 times, but so we even got everybody that's involved. I mean, look, you got the guy that did the audio 6 days in, and he knew a lot. So how did these people already know all this stuff? I mean, I'm from a small town too, but Lordy, there's no way that that all this information would get out like it has in this case. And to be true. And to be true. You know, when you got a young kid that's 14 telling you need to go check out Blacktop Road. There was a hammer there, and the hammer broke. There was a skidster, and I'm thinking, what? And how do you know this? Well, I hear my dad on the phone. Your dad's talking about this on the phone? Like, I don't know. Again, I would be raising Cain. I'm just going to say that. I'd be raising Cain. You want to make sure that it's a good trial. And then everybody gets what they deserve. Where are they going to find a biased jury? I mean, believe it or not, there is people out there that pays no attention to what the news or anything. There's people that refuses to watch the news. Okay? There is people, especially away from there. Again, social media has gotten so easy. Things get out so easy, so fast that people see it on social media. But they can find a biased jury, but they got to go to a bigger pool. They need to go out of the area because there's probably very few in that area that don't know about it by now. They might not have known about it for a couple weeks, but I believe they know about it now. I can't imagine that there would be too many people in that town that has not heard about this. So yeah, you got to go out of the area. Go out of the area. And not only that, it's an awful small courthouse. And then, you know what? I was talking to some people in Woodward. I have family in Woodward. Their jail's even smaller than Guyman. Did you guys know that? Their jail in Woodward's smaller than Guyman. How's that happen? I'm trying to find my readers. I don't know what the heck I did with them. Well, anyway. Got like 50 pairs and I don't know where they're at. But so Leroy says he heard that Buddy Leach's dad was a good judge. And he very well might have been. And Buddy Leach might be a good guy. But at some point, isn't there a conflict of interest? I mean, somebody needs to be investigating what kind of contact he had or even has with the accused. Because remember, they're innocent until proven guilty. I mean, we all know what we know, but they're still innocent until proven guilty. So, where do you go from there? I just know that I'd be thrown a bit. But anyway, because I don't think it will be fair. That's just my own opinion. And my opinion don't amount to much. It's my opinion. 100% there are people who absolutely pay no attention. There are also people who lie about what they know, get on juries. I think that happens a lot. I do too. I do too. I think there's plenty of people that lie to get on juries. Or let me say this. Most people don't want to be on a jury. You know, but you have to. You get the form and you hope you don't get picked. Okay? You hope you don't get picked. Have you seen the show The Juror? That is a wild show. I've watched it a couple times. But anyway, this guy's wife's pregnant. He gets called for jury duty. He tries to get out of it, and everything he says, the DA and the defense attorney, they want him on the jury. It's a crazy case. I'm not going to tell you about it. It's a good show, though. Deb C., this case went worldwide, which is a good thing for this case. Absolutely. I believe things have went on for years. For years. For a lifetime, probably. In good old Texas Panhandle. And nobody cared. Nobody cared. And I'm not going to say it's all legal either. It just, so many people have told me so many stories. They are probably on her head. Ha ha ha. The readers. No, they're not. I just checked. I don't know where I've set them. But listen, sometimes I have 3 pairs on my head. So, yes, you're right. Usually that's the case. I don't know where the heck I put them. I can relate. Y'all can hear. Okay. Me too. I do it all the time. I'm looking everywhere for them, and I've got 3 pairs on my head, but not at this particular moment. So I'm squinting my eyes to read my computer. Nothing can make me feel old except to find my glasses are I know. I get it. I get it. So anyway, The Juror is what I'm talking about. It is a good show. I don't want to ruin it for anybody. So if you haven't seen it, go watch The Juror. Yes, I love that show, The Juror. I did not want to get picked, but no matter what I said, I think the judge wanted me because I was federal employee. See, usually, because you were post office, I know that my kid's dad, he could never be on the jury. They wouldn't allow it. And even with the job I had, they wouldn't allow me to be on the jury. Now, I will say Rick has been called 3 times for the jury, and thank gosh they haven't taken him any time. So, because he don't want to serve on the jury. Deb C, and we are going to open it wide open. I'm digging every day. Deb C, yes, you dig every day. Yes, I agree. Okay, so we'll decide we're going to get off the phone and get some rest. And then when I wake up, I've got like 5 messages. Deb never went to bed. She stayed digging. She is a good person. She digs really hard. She puts a lot of effort into it. You know, because there was a discrepancy. And I haven't talked to Deb today, but there's still a discrepancy. And that link you sent me, it wouldn't let me click on it. But, so was the ladies' phones found in the truck, or were they not found in the truck? Like, I'm not even sure. And what about Cora's clothes? Did they ever find her clothes? Like, what's going on here? And if they didn't find the clothes, did somebody put them in the incinerator or whatever that thing is that they're saying is there? I think it's an incinerator. So what is all going on? What is going on? Because some of the paperwork says that the phones were in the truck of the ladies, and then other paperwork says the phones were never found. I don't know. Was there 2 knives? Because if you remember, there was a knife in the sheath that was in the hole where the ladies were. At Tad's house with the go bag was a knife sheath, but no knife. That would say 2 knives, right? So where's the other knife? Where's it at? I don't know. So now we've started and we went all the way back to the beginning and going through it again. Going through it again. Going back to see if there's anything that we missed or... I will be honest with you. I play back a lot of things. I remember when News Nation said the ladies was shot. Well, come to find out they wasn't shot. So, but there were people, I did not realize it until much later. They brought up stuff in deliberation that we should not have known. He definitely had previous info or was researching. Yeah, you're not supposed to research on your own either. It's just crazy. Christopher says, no, phones found in truck. I think it was burner phones found in truck. I'm just so... Because for me and Deb has been digging. And some of this stuff, it seems like they found the phones. And in some of the stuff, it was 2 iPhones. It does say that. I would to have jury duty because of my adult special needs daughter. I was able to be permanently excused. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't mind. I think I'd be a fair juror. I really do. But we'd be busy. Could you imagine, like, honestly, could you imagine any of us in this group on the jury together? Oh my gosh. We would tear that case apart. I already know it. We would just tear it apart. Nona says, Deb C has the fastest fingers, ribbons, the best mod trophy. And she is a vampire who never sleeps but exists on caffeine and nicotine. Oh, hell, Deb C. Don't hold your applause. Just throw money. Love you. Listen, Deb, Deb's passion that she's worked on for a long time is child trafficking, and that would be really hard to do, like really hard to do. And she puts a lot of time in this, a lot. Yes, we have 2 sheets and 1 knife. Exactly. Does anybody else know where the other knife is? I mean, that's what we do as a group. We talk about it and things that we're stumped on. Deb, what do you think? Because I couldn't get to that MSN link that you sent me. Is the phones in the truck, or are they still missing? Like, did Cora's clothes ever get caught? Did they ever get Cora's clothes? Or did they go there and the clothes wasn't there and somebody burned them in the infirmary? I don't know. Jepsy, no, Burner's phone was in their truck. 2 iPhones. Okay, good. Glad we got that over. Because, yeah, OMG, it would be great. Yeah, I can see us all now hitting the jury pool. Oh, Lordy. They wouldn't know what hit them, would they? But I do feel like that any of you in this group, including myself, we can be fair jurors. Because I feel like in this country now, and I'm going to be honest, in most cases, you're guilty until you prove yourself innocent, okay? But the law is you're innocent until proven guilty, and it's on the state to prove that you're guilty. But what if the state is not doing their job? Or they got some kind of skin in the game, okay? Or they know the people. Like, just don't take rocket science. Just listen, you can have a bad sniffer and it still smells, okay? Deb C is the case Jedi. She is, yes. Nona says, I don't think they found the woman's phones, but why not? If Cora is being so forthcoming, why hasn't she caught up those phones? Or has she? And her clothes. What if somebody else, when they got arrested, knew where the stuff was? Because I don't believe it's only these 5 either. I don't believe it for a minute. Let me get that out and open. Do I believe there's more? I do. I believe there's more that knew. Okay. So when they get arrested, because you don't go from a big group and, I mean, really, there was only 5 in the God's Misfits? I don't think so. So there's still more. You know, what about the cooks? What's going on there? Okay? I'm just saying. Is there an incinerator there in Griggs behind Plainview? Does anybody know? Because I was told there's an incinerator there. Well, what would keep somebody from throwing the clothes in them phones in that incinerator? And also, correct me if I'm wrong, they didn't find Julian's gun either, and they're looking for it. They describe it. It's black with a silver top. 1 in the chamber. Ready to go. Where's her gun? Where did that gun go? It's okay, Deb. I know that we were going back and forth, and we was both going, damn, with the way this stuff is written, did they find the women's phone? Did they not? And I'm saying they didn't, and I think we're all on the same page. We don't know where Veronica and Julian's phones are. But according to Cora, she put them in the crawl space under the house, right? Along with the clothes. So do they have them or do they know? It seems like they don't. I don't know. Oh, so frustrating. Yes, sir. 200 plus misfits. Yeah. I mean, if you're going to do a plea deal, get some information and get the correct information. Who was in the misfits? Who all knew about this plan? Who knew that we don't got? Because we know everybody knew. How did they know? And listen, so there is an article, and there was 2 people at Tad's house when he got arrested. So I am going to say this. I'm not 100% sure. Me and Debs went over this several times. But I'm telling you, the judge very well could have been there when Tad did get arrested. And the reason I say that is because there's a couple articles that says that 2 people was there when Tad got arrested, and we know one of them was Grice. And speaking of Grice, it keeps me up at night that OSBI had Grice meet him at Four Corners. They start telling about forensic evidence, and it's leading to him. He confesses, and they say, oh, false alarm. We don't got a warrant to arrest you. Go home, and when we get the warrant, we'll call you in. In what world does that happen that way? Like, for the love of God, when does it happen that way? How does it happen that way? Somebody just admitted to being involved in murders, and you called them to meet with you for a reason, and you send them home because you don't got a warrant? I don't understand. There's so much. There's just so much I could bitch all day long. I could really bitch about this case all day long. I'm with you, Rock. Too much info was known too early in the case. Yeah. Like, that's what me and Deb's been doing. We're going back to the beginning and everything that... One thing I do is I'm very passionate about things that I do. And it's not just this case. Dog shot by police. I take very... listen, when I get my teeth into something, I'm very passionate about it, and I will stay on it until it's done. Until it's done. So, again, don't worry, Guyman. I'm going to stay on the body cameras until they're wearing the damn things. Why are we wasting taxpayers' money to have body cams for them not to be wearing them? And I shared a case. It's very interesting. I shared a case in Discord, and I'll share it here too. Hold on. Let me get through the comments, and I'll tell you guys about it. So many people knew the day of. Hardly no search party. Exactly. From Ellie. And there was so much blood. Somebody was injured. But you're not looking for injured people? How did you know they were deceased? You had no bodies. Like, again. And then, what time was the alert put out? 6 something, right? It's like an Amber Alert, but on the lookout. These women could be in danger. It was 6 something. I don't remember the exact time. And I'm not going to dig through the folders over here to find it. But 6 something. So, if somebody remembers, let me know. I bet any amount of money that they knew before it happened. It was planned, right? Who all knew about the plan? So, bingo. Deb C, I think you're right. We knew about the plan. Nona says, what is the other? Was Grice or Clint? What? I don't think Clint was there. But I do think the judge could have been there. Because we found a couple articles that said 2 people was there when Tad got arrested. So, I'm going to say that the judge might have told the truth on that. That Elkhart judge, whatever he is. Like, that guy is something else too. I don't even know what to think about that guy. So, AKK, man, yes, Deb C. And where did they go in between? Where they got them and Beasley's. Exactly. I just don't know. And what if? Leroy, how do we know Gunn had one in the chamber? Well, that's what the paperwork says. Exactly. I don't know, but you're going to force me to pull out my notebook. It says in the paperwork. Oh, no. I might not be able to look for it if I can't find my at least a pair of glasses. Let me ring my bell. Let me ring my bell and see if Rick will bring me his glasses. His are always so dirty I can't see to them. Hold on. Let's see here. You know, I was looking today too, and I was telling Wrangler, I actually have his grandpa's will. At some point, I was just pulling everything I could pull. Then I pulled the will. I'd actually pulled some paperwork. This is crazy, but I'd actually pulled some paperwork before the gag order. So let me pull this. Let's see here. These are my old ones, and they're awful dusty. Let me wipe them. Let's see. And there went the other folders. I'm going to read exactly to you what it says, and then let me find it. Because it does say about the gun, and it's black with a silver top, and they're looking for it. And it says it has a round in the chamber, and then the clip. Let me find it. Not even in the right place here. We know that Adams purchased the prepaid cellular phones from the Walmart in Diamond on February 13th, so we know that. Let's see here. That she had searched for, Adams had searched for gun shops on her cellular phone. I said this yesterday, but heavens to Betsy, don't let my cigarette be left in any crime scene, because if they get a hold of my phone, oh my gosh, I've searched so much shit, I'm going to look guilty. I mean, you wouldn't believe some of the stuff we have searched. Okay. I'm looking, guys. Again, I don't understand. Don't understand them not arresting Bryce when he admits to doing it. And again, shame on the DA for not redacting CW's name. And I knew it, and when I cut out the part, I thought I'd cut it off, and it was in that screenshot. But it is public record, but I got rid of it. I'm not out here to expose any kids' names. And I don't see, that how they said that they had CW and a friend clean the truck. Where do we see that at? Because I was looking for that last night too. In these statements, where I don't see anything where it says she had a friend help her clean the truck. So no. Of course, right when I need it, I can't find it. So I'll find it for you, Leroy. But it does say that they're looking for a gun, and it had one in the chamber, and then it had a clip, and it said how many was in the clip even. So I'll have to find it for you. Because I can't even see with these glasses. There's where, this is what they found in the hole. And in the hole, it does say a knife with its sheath. A black K-bar knife in sheath with possible blood. So, but I know they, I know that in the paperwork, they are looking for the gun. And it might have been, I'm looking through the search warrants here on the different things that they were looking into. At the trailer, the trucks, everything. But definitely they were looking for the gun. The gun supposedly had one in the chamber and a clip. Let me get back to that because I've gotten behind here. Nona says, aka Nana, why do you think they went somewhere in between? This is something I just keep chewing over and over. What's your thoughts? I don't think they had time to go somewhere in between, honestly, if you want my honest opinion. Everything was too quick. It was too quick. From when she picked Jillian up and to the time when the phone no longer was on the tower. And, I mean, doesn't Beasley say he got up at noon and the skidster was gone? I don't know, guys. Let's see here. Maybe the clip was missing a bullet. No, I think her husband knows what she carries. Because remember, they found a clip in her purse. But on one of these papers, if I could find my damn readers, they're looking for a black gun with a silver top with one in the chamber and a full clip. So I guess I'll have that for the next time because I know it's in there. I'm not going to take the time to go find my glasses. I don't know where I put them. And so Deb C says maybe the clip was missing a bullet. Yeah, I don't know, but I know that I read that there was one in the chamber. I do know that. I read that. Let's see here. Cooks, Beasley, KM, MB, Judge, Clyde, Larry, people who knew before it happened, the other Larry. I mean, there is another channel that, anyway. Let's see here. Cough in your Lucy Carter voice. Oh, Ricky! While ringing the bell. He's about ready. Listen, I was ringing that bell last night just to irritate him, and he was irritated. How would they, Ellie, know that? Because it was Jillian's practice to do that? So that's what I would say. I mean, again, when I first started thinking about this case and really was able to get back to Wichita and think a little bit on it. You know, I thought that Jillian, that this was new. Like, this was, the other lady couldn't do it, so they got Jillian. Well, then I was told that Jillian had did several of them. So, if she had written several recommendations to the judge. So this was planned, obviously. And they knew Jillian would probably be the one there. So they had no problem hurting Jillian too. So, unaliving Jillian or whatever. Just because Jillian was doing her job and reporting back how the visits went. Okay. I need to look back, but I remember times did add up for CW account of when Cora and Cole came home when she was told to clean the vehicle, if I remember correctly. I want to say it's noon. It's noon. Deb C says, I read that a couple times today about CW account. Yes, they both cleaned the truck. I kept going over that. So, but they didn't say the friend's name, just a friend, huh? Okay, AKK. The only TC and PG went to Beasley's. So if PG was in back with Woman, who was in the cab of the truck with TC? And where did they get out? You know, that is a big question. Does anybody believe for a minute that Cole was just sitting at the Four Corners watching traffic go by? Like, what is going on here? What in the Sam hell is going on here? And it's my understanding the women didn't go to Beasley's at all. So are you telling me that just Grice and Tad also took care of the bearing and Cole went and had a beer? I mean, what the hell? What's going on here? And listen, I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow, so I'm not even gonna go over this case at all tomorrow. Is Lavender in here? I doubt it, because I was on the phone with her earlier and she had some things going on. And actually, when I was on the phone with her earlier, as I'm fixing to go live, that was at 5:30. Unfortunately, I couldn't do it. Some other things happened and been on the phone and had some things going on. So, and then I almost didn't even go live. And I was like, well, I'm going to go ahead and go live anyway. Right, Nona? Just seems to be something missing, in my opinion. Yeah. Well, I mean, they're trying to make Cole like he didn't do anything except sit and make sure nobody was coming. Like, oh, Lavender's in here. Because I can see it on my TV. I'm not through the comments, but Lavender is in here. So, they were looking for the victim's phones and gun. Yeah. But it went into detail. It said the gun was black with a silver top, one in the chamber, and a clip. And it even said how many was in the clip, I think. I don't remember anything about a friend. I do remember they said that the friend had to help her clean the truck. But I don't know who that friend was. I have no clue who the friend was. And Lavender's saying hi to everybody. So she is here. Oh, Deb messaged Lavender. Okay, got it. So Nona says, at Lavender, do you remember who was up front in the cab while Grice was locked in the trailer? I don't think anybody was up front because, let's see here. Wait a minute. Because, well, it's very conflicting, and this is going to be very conflicting. But that little rancher guy only saw men leaving and the vehicles they were in. So, if Grice was in the back of the trailer, then there was men driving the trucks. Oh, this is a lot. Okay. Deb C says, Cora said she drove Granny home. I think it was Cole and Tad at Nona. So Cole left Four Corners and came down and Because they're trying to act like Cole didn't do anything. It's the way I'm getting it. And maybe I've just lost my mind. So she probably had an extra clip in her purse. I do that. Exactly. I believe she did have an extra clip in her purse. And listen, she wasn't new to this case. So she very well knew that there could be things. Because usually you can't, if you're a supervised person doing child visits, you're not supposed to have a weapon in Kansas. And I'm sure it's that way in all states. So, I don't know, unless they changed that law. And I don't think they did. Lavender, I think it was Cole. Very well, could be. And Deb C says could be. At Nana, by Bianca. At Lavender, that CW and Cole and Cora. CW said Cole and Cora came home. That's true. As a matter of fact, she does. She does. I was just reading that too. CW was told on March 29, 2024 that Cora and Cole would not be home in the morning when she woke and were going to be on a mission. When CW awoke at approximately 10 o'clock hours, Cora and Cole were not home, but came home around 12 o'clock hours, is what it says. So, I'll read that again. When CW awoke at approximately 10 o'clock hours, Cora and Cole were not home, but came home around 12 o'clock hours. CW knew that Cole and Cora took a blue and gray Chevrolet pickup owned by them and a blue flatbed pickup owned by Clint Twombly when they left and returned in the same vehicle. CW was told to clean the interior of the Chevrolet pickup. CW asked Cora what had happened and was told that things did not go as planned, but they would not have to worry about her, Butler, again. CW asked about Kelly and why she had to die and was told by Cora that she wasn't innocent either, as she had supported Butler. CW asked Cora if their bodies were put in a well, and Cora replied something like that. CW also disclosed that other attempts to kill Butler occurred during February 2024 near Houston, Kansas, in which Adams, Cole, Cora, and Grice went to Yucatan, but Butler did not leave her residence. This is consistent with the web search discovered on Adams' phone about how to get someone out of their house. So that was that part. I'm still trying to see where it says about the gun. I've seen it 1,000 times, and then when I want to read it to you, I can't find it. Adams told OSBI that on that Friday night, March 29, 2024, Rickman and Butler's children stayed the night with Barrett Cook and Lacey Cook. Adams said she planned to pick them up that morning before visitation. Adams said she called Butler at 9 o'clock hours to confirm the meeting, and Butler told Adams something came up and she was not going to make it. Butler's phone records confirmed the call occurred, however, at the time of the call. The call occurred, however, at the time of the call. Butler was in Hugoton, Kansas, in the process of picking Kelly up to go meet Adams. Adams stated she was home at the time that Butler and Kelly went missing. Adams picked the children up before noon from the Cook's residence. Let me get back to chat. Oscar says, sorry, I have to step away. Had a car almost hit a house down the road and the guy was unresponsive. Ooh. Hope everything's okay. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I hope the guy's okay too. Okay. I thought the same. I always have an extra clip in my purse. They could have met up at Granny's and then gone home. Well, that could be. Or did Cora go with Granny to pick up the kids? Because I remember seeing pictures, and I got it somewhere. That same day, Granny had the kids at a birthday party, like nothing had happened. I'm gonna have to pull that picture. Who all was at that birthday party? Who put that birthday party on? And was it the same day? Because I know I saw the picture of she's sitting at a picnic table. Who was doing that birthday party? Sumner said they could have met up at Granny's and then gone home. That's true. But so that everybody in chat knows, there's quite a distance between where the Cooks live and where Granny lives. I mean, I'm not from there. It seemed like a fairly decent amount of time drive. What do you guys think it is from Granny's house to where the Cooks are? Because I never went to the Cooks' house. So, I'm not sure. At Bianca, not sure. They just left with him in ambulance, praying he is. Yikes. I thought Granny and Tad drive the truck with the trailer hooked up and Grice in the back. I don't think the women ever went to Beasley's that day. I'm thinking Cole helped with the burial, just like I think Granny had a hand in killing Veronica. It's very true. Very true. Well, I mean, if you remember, Veronica was putting on a hell of a fight and Grice needed help. And Corey went and grabbed a stun gun from the vehicle and handed it to Granny. So, I don't know. Someone was up front. They drove while Grice was locked in the trailer. So somewhere Cole had to go from the truck with Tad to a vehicle with Cora to go home. No. They had both trucks, remember? Or, I don't know. Listen, I'm so confused now that we found that that Clint also has a 98 gooseneck white trailer. Was that trailer his? I don't know. Oh, man, let's get this trial going so that we can, let's get another court date so we can hear what is going on. I'm playing with Matchbox cars right now on my map. I'm so visual. I bet the plan was to get the Kia on the flatbed. Well, it sounds like Cora was at the burial site. I thought the women never went to the burial site there. Hey, I can be totally wrong. Yes, no, because that car was moved. I'm telling you, the guy that saw stuff said it was in the grass. And where he showed me, there was a cactus that was ran over and the grass was down. You could go back to the very first live. Actually, I showed it just the other night with Brooke from News Nation. Because she's asked, she said, well, there's been a discrepancy. Not sure if it was in the grass here or if it was in the road. Now, we've been told, and I believe this, that the aunt and uncle found the car, and it was in the road. But this guy, when he saw the car, he didn't know anything was wrong, and the car was in the grass. So, I don't know. I thought Granny was in the truck, but Cora drove Granny home, and then went home with Cole. This is all just don't match up. I know, listen, me and Deb, we go over it, and then we question each other, and then we're digging for hours. Like, as Lauren says, this case is far from over. I'm starting to think there were all 5 at the burial site. Okay, here we go. Cooks lived right near Bryce and Tad. What? No. Bryce lived in Keys, and Tad lived over by Griggs. So, I mean, I'm not from the area, but no, they don't live by each other. Cooks lived right near Bryce. No, I don't think so. Somebody help me from the area. Because the way I understood it, where does the Cooks live? Because I know exactly where the school was, and then the three houses, and Cora and Cole lived in the houses right there. But I was under the understanding that Bryce lived over in Keys, and Tad's house seemed like a pretty good distance for me. No, I was thinking the women did this post. Oh, I hope I didn't just delete somebody's comment. Hit the wrong button. Wonder if they have searched any wells. My ears hurt on CW's comment. Well, you know, it's kind of crazy. There was a case in Johnson County, Kansas, or Johnson City, Kansas. And Kirk Kearns was one of the attorneys, and I know the other one, so I'm tip of my tongue. Anyway, child custody battle. The new husband, his family had big ties in this Johnson County, and the dad to the kids disappeared, and they said he disappeared in a well, but they never found the body. They did 2 trials, and both times it was a hung jury. So, like, nobody ever got charged in that case in Johnson County. Didn't the Cooks live across the street from the old school? Could be. Could be. That's why we need a timeline from the time it happened and also when all got home. Yeah. You sent me a timeline, though. I got to put my readers on now, exactly. Let's see here. Was that a timeline? I know I saw a timeline. Let's see. I won't share it, but let me see here. Where is that timeline? So I know I saw it. Well, somebody did a timeline. I can tell you it wasn't me that did that timeline. So I'm not going to share it because I'm not sure who did that timeline. But I will read it to you. Let me pull it up so I can make it big on my phone. Let's see here. It goes all the way back to May 5th, 2021. And somebody sent me this timeline. I don't know where it came from. But it goes back to May 5th, 2021. Veronica is awarded full custody of her children and Wrangler to receive standard visitation. Then on December 7th, 2022, court awards Wrangler full custody with Veronica to have supervised visitation. This follows an appeal by Wrangler in August 2022. Whoever did the timeline, this is a really good timeline. February 2024, witness statements in arrest affidavits show that an attempt. Wait a minute. Okay, we've been told that in 2024 that's when the other attempt was on Veronica's birthday, March 13th. Tiffany Adams has stepped in as an intervener in the case. She She is found to have been illegally withholding the children from their parents. Her attorney files a motion to withdraw. March 18th, a motion was filed for Veronica to receive extended visitation and her children. Her attorney stated that it was likely it would happen. March 22nd, Wrangler is admitted to a court-ordered rehab facility following jail time. Yeah, he went straight from the jail to that facility. March 23rd, Adams purchased stun guns. March 29th, Adam leaves the children with Barrett and Lacey Cook overnight. March 30th, Butler tells family she's going to pick up the kids. April 1st, OSBI gets Adam's phone and downloads it. April 3rd, OSBI interviews Cora, 16-year-old daughter. April 12th, probable cause for arrest affidavits are filed for the Twomleys, Adams, and Goldman. I don't know if that helped you guys or not. But whoever did that timeline, it's a good timeline. And I don't even know who sent it to me. But it was sent the other day. I know we were trying to do another timeline. Let's see here. AKK, Anna, and Nona. I'll send you my research. I went over today and the answers you're trying to find. There you go. I sent you a couple of timelines. You sent it to me? Because one of them I just read was the school of Plainview, yes. There we go. Grice lived right around the corner from Tad. Spitting distance. Cooks lived right near the Misfits meeting school. Just like down the road. Well, right by the school is where Cole and Cora live. There's 3 houses there. There's that brick one, and then there's 3 houses right there by the school, on the same side of the school. But that's where Cole and Cora live. I don't know about the other side. I never went there. I just have pictures of it. Where did you send it to? Did you send it to Discord, or we can look at the pings of the burner phones? I sent you that timeline. I'm looking at one of the timelines, but I don't have the pings of the burner phone. It has everything else, though. I do not see. Oh, there we go. At 9:40, Butler and Kelly's phones last ping off a tower at Highway 95 and Road L. Approximately 5 miles north of Four Corners, burner phones purchased by Adams also pinged off this tower around the same time. 10:16 to 10:35, burner phones pinged off towers below a dam on property. Colin leaves from Beasley's, where it was later discovered that a hole had been dug, filled in, and covered with hay. So there you go. There you go. The warrants has 6 ton of things, yes. I don't have any glasses. So that's what we'll go over again. And I'll go find that paperwork for Leroy too, where it talks about the gun. I've got to find my doggone glasses. I've set them down. I've got like 50 pairs. I buy them at the Dollar Tree. They're just readers. But then when I need a pair, I can't find them. And I'm really bad about putting them on my head, so then they get loose, and I've been down to get something, they fall off, and they're probably laying some. I probably gave the dogs food, and they're probably laying in the living room floor, to be honest with you. No, yes, the Cooks lived across the street from the old school house where supposedly the Misfits had meetings. Brian Hinton did show from there. Let's just pull that up. Let me just pull up the News Nation. News Nation. Brian Hinton. Kansas Homes. This here just drives me nuts. I'm going to play this again while we're going over it. This probably is the most bothersome thing that really gets me is Grice admitting to it, but they can't arrest him because they don't have a warrant.
But it is far, far more clear with Paul Grice. Police say his confession, it is black and white. And it lines up with all the details that the Twombly's 16-year-old daughter told investigators weeks ago about the planning, about the murders, about the burial. She said Grice was a part of everything, start to finish. According to a friend of Paul Grice's, Paul was initially detained and questioned by investigators weeks and weeks ago. But for some reason, they let him go. And then recently we learned this about his anti-government views. Almost exactly 1 year ago, he filed this crazy 44-page document that reads like a Kaczynski manifesto against the USA, renouncing his U.S. citizenship. But no matter what he believes, U.S. laws apply to Mr. Paul Grice, especially when it comes to murder. The sheriff tells us he's going to be arraigned a week from today, 9 a.m. So mark your calendar. News Nation's senior national correspondent Brian Hinton is back with me now. So talk to me about this confession, because we heard about Grandma Tiffany's confession. It sounded more like we weren't sure. It was she indicated her responsibility. This is entirely different.
Yeah, this was much, much clearer, Ashley. We know that investigators were out at Paul Grice's house yesterday, and he lives not very far from where the bodies were discovered, by the way. He rents a property right in that area.
Okay, hold on. He's saying exactly where Grice lives here.
Very far from where the bodies were discovered, by the way. He rents a property right in that area. They went out to talk to him yesterday. What led them to actually go out again to talk to him, we don't know, but there was this confession, and I want to read it to you because it was much, much more specific and clear than what we saw with the recorded statement from Grandma Tiffany. The confession reads, according to the affidavit, Grice was interviewed and admitted that he was a part of the planning and killing of both Butler and Kelly. Grice admitted that he participated in the killing of Butler and Kelly and their subsequent burial. So they are saying that not only was he connected to the planning, to the actual killing, but then also the burial. And you remember we were out in that area where the bodies were buried, 10 feet down. It's an area that Paul Grice knows well. Everybody knows each other in that area. And again, the land that he rents where he lives with his family is very, very close to that spot.
Doesn't get more clear than that. Planning, murder, and burial. Police say he's confessing to. It just makes me wonder, is he desperate to...
And they don't have a warrant, so they send him home and tell him when they get a warrant, they'll call him and he can come in. In what world does that work? Because that makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to me.
give them everything on the other four to try to save his head? This is a death penalty state. And so if he's got a good lawyer, the lawyer will say, run to the well first and maybe you'll get a good drink and the rest of them will go thirsty. So the other detail that you learned today, you know, as we learn these things, a lot of times there's some shifting in details. We had a source early on that said it looked like they'd been shot. The two women had been shot outside the car. The medical examiner throws water on all of that.
Yeah, this is something that I've been trying to nail down for the last couple of days. I heard, I got a tip about it, and was trying to get it confirmed by the medical examiner, and we finally did. The medical examiner in Oklahoma has confirmed that the two victims that you see right there, Veronica and Jillian, were were not shot. So they were not shot, no gunshot wounds. This was not a shooting. What the actual cause of death was, we don't know. They're not revealing that yet. But you know, it's more barbaric than I think that we realized. This could possibly be an explanation. You remember, they didn't positively identify the bodies for a couple of days. It took them a couple of days. And this may be a reason why it may have really just been a brutal killing, Ashley.
It's so upsetting I mean, there's nothing that can make you feel better about this story, but for the fact that you hope that they died quickly and painlessly, and maybe it was a bullet they didn't even see coming. But given these details, that there was a broken hammer found with the glasses behind the vehicle, and that they weren't shot, it just makes you wonder, were they beaten to death? Did they use a hammer? Were they strangled? I mean, it could not, and there were two of them, and apparently potentially 5 with stun guns, keeping them, you know, it's just an awful, awful series. Last thing real quickly, why was he released? Why was Paul Grice brought in and released and then grabbed again after the other 4? It's a big mystery.
Yeah, it's a very, very good question, and we don't know the answer. Again, he was not brought in. He didn't go in on his own the first time. He was brought in almost like he was going to be arrested. They did the interviews, and then they released him. What they've learned between then and now, we don't know. I will say I've been talking to locals on the ground there. Not totally shocked, obviously, by this arrest since he was in the affidavit to begin with, but a lot of sadness because he's got 3 kids too. And now they've got to sort all of that out. So the whole community is still very much torn apart over all this.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com.
Interesting.
If you had to picture the weekly meeting place for a group of anti-government religious zealots from the Oklahoma Panhandle, what image would you have in your mind? Now I'd like for you to add the fact in that they allegedly planned a cold-blooded double murder there. If you came up with a scene from a Quentin Tarantino movie, you are getting close. NewsNation's Brian Enton saw the place for himself. He's live with me again. This was an area of this story I did not expect, Brian. I think giving it the title Clubhouse is a little generous. This is an abandoned school, and the vibes from your video, it's hard to describe them except for creepy, and I know there are a lot more adjectives I'm missing. So take me to this part of the story.
Yeah, honestly, it did feel like the scene from a horror movie. Doesn't feel anything like a clubhouse, and you're about to see. We kept hearing abandoned school over and over again, that's where the God's Misfits group met. Since it's an underground group, it's very hard to get information. But we finally tracked down where that school is. It's next to the Twombly's house, the suspect's house, by the way. I went out there, take a look. So this is where the Twombleys lived. This is where they lived when they were arrested. You can see the welcome sign right there on the front driveway. These are their dogs running out. But what's interesting is right next to their house is this old abandoned school right here in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it's totally surrounded by farmland. This is called the old Plainview School. Told that it closed a couple of decades ago. But what's interesting is we've heard from people in town that this is where the God's Misfits meetings were held at times, which is a little confusing to the neighbors because it would be difficult to get into the school because it's all locked. But they also did tell me that there were times they would come by and they would see 12 or 15 cars out here, and it looked like there was some kind of meeting. And another interesting thing, you can see it's all overgrown. I mean, it's been abandoned for quite some time. But what's also interesting is you see this door of this on the school is all boarded up. One neighbor told me that when police came to investigate the murders and arrested the Twombleys, they actually kicked in the window there of the school to go inside as part of the investigation. What they found, we don't know. It's kind of eerie if you look inside the school through the window. I mean, it's all just relatively untouched from decades ago. You can even see there's like
I'll pull up the other one here in just a second. But you can see a shadow when he goes up mirroring off. I don't see any houses across from that school. You see this picture here? I don't see any houses there across the street from the school. Just pay attention to the glass there. But I don't know. I did not go by the school, so.
If you look inside the school through the window, I mean, it's all just relatively untouched from decades ago. You can even see there's like trophies in a case down there. So whether or not the meetings actually happened here, we can't say for sure. But again,
I don't see any houses over there. I didn't see it on the mirror and I didn't see it there, but we'll keep looking.
people in town say they believe this is where the Gods Misfits meetings were. And neighbors say they definitely saw gatherings of cars out here and believe this may also have been where the meetings were, either inside the school, maybe behind the school. And again, the Twombly's lived in the house right over there.
Brian, that is so eerie. It looks like the school's frozen in time. It actually looks like it's still operational. It's hard to believe that's an abandoned school.
Let's see here. I'll go pull the other one too. Oh, there's Nona's guy.
I thought, who in the hell would want to go to that church? You know?
I got
well, good for him, but I don't think it's going to work. I don't know how in the world you can be one thing and then all of a sudden just roll over and you're something else.
But why do you think the Twombly's ended up in this group, God's Misfits? I mean, you've known Cole since he was a child.
I think it was.
We got to meet this guy for sure. Let me go pull the airport.
And opportunities, which is very strange.
Pull the airport one. So I do remember Allison and Brian sitting at the airport. But did they show videos? I don't remember. But we're going to look. There's Joe. There's Woody. There's Woody. See, I don't find 15 miles to be close. Like if I'm thinking this, and this guy, this guy was Grice's landlord. I remember that. Let's see here. Oh. I know we keep going over this, but at any time you can, you know, like if you were tired of watching it, you don't have to stay to watch it. Oh, really? And I do remember Allison and Brian sitting at the airport. That's one you're telling me to look up. So it's Teddy. I know you like his mustache, so I get it. Just everywhere. Whose home was this? This is Tiffany's, right? Because I know there's not blacktop in front of Cad's. It was dirt. And Tiffany does have blacktop in front of hers. I'll be more prepared. Talking about dabbles, we do. We dabble everywhere. We start in one spot and we there's 8 months ago, court may consider alternate venues for trial, but we obviously got nowhere with that. I never saw Dog the Bounty Hunter there, so interesting. What is this?
That area, as we drove down that dirt road.
This is the last time we watched this one.
It was a
I know this is not
paternal grandmother had reticent to take a
It really started with the custody battle,
That's right.
which you knew about before the
That's-
arrests. Everybody sort of was figuring out that was going to be the motive.
Well, you know what? When we looked at the court documents, that was a big deal. I looked at the court documents and I could see that there were issues about custody, but I also looked up criminal records and I found out that the poor Veronica Butler's husband, or not husband, her boyfriend, the father of her children, was in rehab. And that he had an extensive criminal past. And then I looked up his father. And just as we started to figure out what was going on, we realized that this had been a very bitter, like really bitter custody battle. And that the grandma, the paternal grandma, that's the mom of the boyfriend, Wrangler Rickman, the paternal grandmother had really wanted custody, and that it had been months since Veronica had seen her kids. And she was on the cusp, about to have a hearing where she was going to get rid of supervised visitation, at least according to her lawyer, custody lawyer, her family law lawyer. And that hearing never happened. And ironically, the date of the hearing was the same date as the arraignment of the 4 defendants who are charged.
Yeah, so she was supposed to be in court. You talked to Veronica's family lawyer.
Yes.
What was he like? What did he? I mean, I can't imagine as a lawyer, like, you're representing someone and then they get murdered.
It's kind of like the worst case scenario. And you know, everybody always talks about in a custody battle how vicious and awful it can become. And the lawyer actually said that he didn't really take a lot of credence. I mean, you know, everybody comes in hating the other side. So when he first met her, but he did say she was very prepared. She had all these notes. She'd had another lawyer since about 2019. And it just sort of, she wanted a fresh set of eyes on the case, is what he told me. And then he said, when he really began to become a little concerned, which were really what he called raised his eyebrows, was the fact that the father of the children had posted that the grandmother, his mother, and that's Grandma Tiffany, Grandma Tiffany, who was charged with murder of Veronica Butler and also of Jillian, you know, the 2 women that were there, that the grandmother had threatened him if he didn't sign papers, if he didn't try to get custody. So it was, sorry guys, it's like I am a little bit on the tired side.
No, it's good.
But
it's
yeah,
real,
that's really what happened.
Yeah.
I mean, that the grandma was trying to get custody and she threatened her son and said, you better sign these papers. I want, you know, try to get full custody. And what actually, we also found out through sources that the grandma had alleged that the children had been sexually abused when they were in the home and under the custody of the mom, Veronica. So,
Do we know if that's really true? Or was she just trying to get custody and using that as a way to persuade the judge? Or do you think that that really happened and she was just desperate to get the kids?
You know what? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I just know that courts take allegations like that very seriously.
Yeah.
So as soon as somebody would make an allegation like that, and it very well may have been true, but as soon as, you know, you make an allegation like that, they're obligated to investigate. And they're obligated to protect the children. Courts take that very seriously. And we also know what happens when they don't take it very seriously and it turns out to be true. And I've covered and you've covered a lot of those kinds of cases. So I'm reluctant, I'm really reticent to take a position one way or the other. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I do know that the courts ordered supervised visitation and that we also found out later when Grandma Tiffany was charged along with 3 others, that you know, they had a discussion. And one of the things that was really troubling Grandma Tiffany was that she said the children were in danger, you know, and if Veronica got her custody returned to her, that it was going to be a problem.
Yeah, we have been really just driving around like Western Oklahoma, Kansas, for the last 4 days. And, you know, Allison's from LA, I'm from Miami. I went to college in the country, but, you know, neither of us live in rural areas. And people were like, oh my gosh, you know, be careful. You know, people are armed there, militias. I really thought 99% of the people were very, very friendly. People would talk to us. People were nervous to go on camera, but a lot of people shared their stories with us.
I think they were really friendly to Brian.
And they were friendly. Someone bought our Subway one day, a postal worker, and I insisted, no, let us buy yours. And no, we're just so happy you guys are here covering it. Someone gave us an American flag.
They were super
really
nice. I think that everybody was in
They
shock.
get a bad rap, kind of.
I think they totally got a bad rap because they were very nice. And the fact that people didn't want to talk on camera initially in this was based on the fact that they didn't know who had done this. There was a lot of fear. It's a tiny community. They all know each other. And there was a lot of fear going on. And that's not an unusual thing when something like this happens in any community, but especially in a small community or small rural community like this, the people are reluctant until somebody is charged with the offense. We saw something similar you did, especially in Moscow, Idaho.
Yeah, definitely. This felt even more rural to me than Moscow.
Oh, yeah,
This is
totally.
really rural. I mean, if you haven't been, I've never been to this part of Oklahoma and Kansas, and we were in Texas too, but there's really not much there. It's just pasture land.
There was a lot of overlap.
ranchers.
We had to keep checking to see what state we were in
Yeah.
because you automatically,
Yeah.
all of a sudden we found ourselves in Kansas. Wait a minute, we were just in.
Right.
Yeah.
And we put a lot of miles on the rental. We were driving. I don't think I've ever gotten so many tanks of gas in 4 days. I mean, because we were staying far away, driving to all these different states.
Well, this is the interesting thing about this story particularly is that this is a very
Because they stayed in liberal.
small community. And we were told by many sources and many people we spoke to, and even one of the people that lived near where the bodies of the two women were found, he said, we are a community that looks out for each other, that we care about each other because we kind of have to, because they're so far away from each other and so far away from help. If somebody is injured or there's something happening with their neighbor, if there's problems with the cattle or problems with the farms, they help each other out. So while it's a community with tons of land, I mean, you could see forever, and then you could see like 5 farms, but they're miles away from each
so
other.
flat,
right? So while you could see forever, you have to realize that it's a very close community, and they were very frightened.
And in the affidavit for the arrests, it came out that the suspects were all in this group called God's Misfits, which really, it was a very salacious, sexy headline for the media, I think, for that to come out. And we looked into it, and there is this group that exists, and it is underground and it's anti-government. But for the most part, I really believe most people told us they'd never really heard about it, and I believe them.
I believe them too. And by the way, this was based on the affidavit that was used to determine to get probable cause to arrest the 4 defendants, so the 4 suspects, but now the 4 defendants. So you have to ask yourself.
I'm gonna watch this again later.
The fact that she had.
I'm not gonna put you guys.
My understanding is that he was taken in and questioned, and apparently the OSBI.
Yet, but it doesn't sound like that because I think this is a terrified and scared town, and the police I think arrested who they think was involved.
Yeah. One of the other interesting moments of the last week for us was going to the spot where the bodies were buried, which was very surreal, and we got access to the property at a very strange time. It was late, dark, probably not ideal time. It would have been great to have the daylight just for the camera's sake, but when you get access to something, you go for it. And I want to show everybody that clip just so you can get an idea of the area where the bodies were. It's dark out here, so bear with me, but this is the area where the missing women were found. This is the spot. You remember in the police report, they mentioned a dam. This right here, this buildup of dirt, this is the dam. There's a pond on the other side. And if you walk with me this way, just about 50 feet or so.
Where do you think Brian got that flashlight from? You think Beasley gave him the flashlight? Because they were in a rental car. I don't think he carries a flashlight with him.
Maybe a little more from the dam. You can see where the earth is disturbed, where the tractors were out here. This is where investigators came. They dug right in this area, went down about 10 feet, I'm told, and this is where they discovered the missing mom's bodies. If you look in the distance there, you can see there's a pile of hay back there. I am told by sources that hay was moved over the area where the digging happened, that the suspect Tad, moved that hay over here to cover up the area where he was digging, hoping that the cows, there's a cow farm here, that the cows would come over.
Okay.
Even the questions she was asking were just like awful.
It didn't take much for police. I mean, you had it all. All you had to do was look at the court filings and the history, and the motive became pretty clear. So,
well, there's a document I think that really struck me that we got that other people didn't have, which was a document. It's called a writ of habeas corpus, but basically it's that somebody has taken, that these children were taken by Grandma Tiffany, and that Veronica had kidnapped, basically, is what she's saying, and that her children should be returned to her because she had not seen her kids since from July until September. She had not seen them at all. And they were supposed to have supervised visitation, and Grandma Tiffany was like really jerking her around and canceling things and never bringing the kids. One time Veronica had COVID, but mostly, she didn't see her kids. And when we talked to the lawyer, it was like that months went by. And D-Day was coming. It was a reckoning coming.
And that was going to be the same day as that hearing, the same day that they ended up getting indicted, which is crazy. Another part of our coverage the last week, which people really kind of latched onto and were very interested in, was this judge that we interviewed, Judge Forbes.
Yeah,
He's the municipal
We're just gonna skip over Judge Ford. Yeah, we've seen him way too much. Gave him too much.
They need me to put it in writing, so he took a piece of paper and wrote, "I quit." And
okay, I don't care to listen to him anymore. Okay.
there was a
Let me
big
see if I can find the one you
upset about this story is where the bodies were found, and they were found at the home on the farm.
No, he said
of
he said he was given access, so that means Beasley allowed him to, because he did say he was given access. And listen, I already told you guys when I met with the Texas County Sheriff, don't have me come on arresting you for trespassing. Okay. Okay, now let me look this up. But I had forgot about this clip. Just watch. I'll probably go back and watch it because it's 40 minutes, but I do want to watch it. Suspect in Kansas, murdered mom's case. Okay, let's keep going. Suspect in Kansas, murdered moms. If it wasn't for officers, I don't know. I don't know what they would did, honestly. I'm not trying to take credit, but it sure didn't seem like they were doing much. So, I mean, I wish I'd have been there the day of. Like, it just didn't seem, off of Derek's channel, you know, him and his wife was coming back from Guyman, and it just didn't seem like there was much of a search looking. So you have a lot of blood there, but why? I don't know what to say. Okay, let me go back here and just put in suspects in Kansas. In Kansas. So I'm getting everything that you put on there. Murder bombs. This one.
Hey everybody, this is Brian. I'm with producer Allison Weiner.
Hi.
We are actually in the Amarillo airport, just trying to knock out this podcast real quick before our flight. We're on our way out of town. This is actually the closest airport to the Oklahoma and Kansas area, where we've been covering the murders of the two moms, Jillian and Veronica.
Jillian Kelly,
Veronica Butler. We were here doing a lot of digging into several different things, which we're going to get into, but also there was a court hearing for the fifth suspect who was arrested, Paul Bryce. It was similar to last time, a lot of security at the courthouse. This is Dallas County, Oklahoma. Small courthouse, but again, when we showed up, there was a sniper on the roof. They had a ton of deputies out in the parking lot. They search you before you go in, obviously.
Did he say Dallas County? We all know it's Texas County. I think he said Dallas County. Is that what he said?
Digging into several different things, which we're going to get into, but also there was a court hearing for the fifth suspect who was arrested, Paul Bryce. It was similar to last time, a lot of security at the courthouse. This is Dallas County, Oklahoma. Small courthouse, but again, when we showed up, there was a sniper on the roof. They had a ton of deputies.
Dallas County, Texas County. We'll correct him. Can't always get everything out.
That he answered a couple of my questions going in, which I don't know. I've had that happen a couple times.
Really? I had never seen that. I thought that was pretty amazing.
Maybe a handful of times. Usually they just ignore me, like when it's a perp walk. So it was interesting. What do you make of that he answered?
I was really surprised, and it was interesting because I was actually talking with some other people in town, and they're kind of angry at him for expressing a sympathy for the victims.
Yeah.
They thought it was manipulative. It's the few people. It's not a total town sample, but the few people that I spoke with, and I don't know. I thought it was very odd. Maybe he supposedly confessed, at least according to the police. And we should all keep in mind that even in the affidavits where there are confessions or they're saying Grandma Tiffany told them where the bodies might be, whatever we're hearing about that, you got to wait to see what the defense attorney says, because they may try to get any of that so-called confessions thrown out.
Right, we haven't actually heard.
We have not heard it.
So he spoke going in, and then they brought him out the same way. I waited outside, and I asked him on the way out if he had anything to say specifically about God's Misfits, which is the group, again, the anti-government group that police say he's in and that the other suspects are in. And that time he just stayed totally quiet and just looked straight ahead.
I'm gonna fast forward. It's getting late. We're trying to wonder where they got that from. Okay, whoa, let me back it up.
Take a look. So this is where the Twombleys lived. This is where they lived when they were arrested. You can see the welcome sign right there in the front driveway. These are their dogs running out. But what's interesting is right next to their house is this old abandoned school right here in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it's totally surrounded by farmland. This is called the old Plainview School.
Yeah, there's nothing right across the street that I see. He does a quick glance.
You can see the welcome sign right there in the front driveway. These are their dogs running out. But what's interesting is right next to their house is this old abandoned school right here in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it's totally surrounded by, because it would be difficult to get into the.
There's nothing there, guys. There's nothing there.
Heard from people in town that this is where the God.
15 miles is quite a bit away. It's not right across the street. I don't know. I can get that spot again. So. I don't see any houses across the street. I don't know. I didn't go to this area, so I can't really tell you. It's one area I did not go.
By farmland. This is called. What's interesting is right next to their house is this old abandoned school right here in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it's totally surrounded by
fields. That's it. Did that answer the question that was asked? I mean, 15 miles is quite a ways. It's not right across the street, I guess is what. I don't see anything across the street. I didn't see anything in the thing. One of you locals from that area, is there houses across the street? Because I don't think so. Anyway. So. See if he shows any more of the area.
They definitely saw gatherings of cars out here and believe this may also have been where the meetings were, either inside the school, maybe behind the school. And again, the Twombleys lived in the house.
Oh, yeah, I don't think there's any houses right across the street.
They definitely saw gatherings of cars out here and believe.
Okay, I don't know. Somebody that's local that will have to tell us, because I don't think there's any houses across the street. So 50 miles is not right next door. And there's Teddy again. I'm not even going to stop on him because Nona's going to get all excited.
But a feeling came over me. That was interesting.
And there was also the issue of him that Paul Grice and that they carried a. Was it Paul Grice that carried the sidearm?
I don't think so. I don't think so. But anyway, we'll figure it out. I don't think so, though. Because he shows Cole's house. I don't think there's anything behind Cole's. Now, there is an incinerator back there. Actually, I have a friend that sent me a video from that area. And there's a tall, like, water tower type of thing there. Like, I don't think there's any houses behind Cole's there.
This is where they lived when they were arrested. You can see the welcome sign right there in the front driveway. These are their dogs running out. But what's interesting is right next to their house is this old abandoned school right here in the middle.
I mean, unless it was
And
on
right
the
there on the front
roadway.
driveway. These are their dogs running out. But what's interesting is right next to their house.
I mean, there's a building right there, but I don't know that it's a house. But anyway, this would be Griggs. It's Plainview's and Griggs, right? Now, me and Lavender has talked about this. We don't know who was living in the two houses by the Twombly's. Supposedly, this is the Twombly's house here. But if we back up a little bit, there's 3 houses. We don't know who lives in the other 2 houses. Does Frank? Did Frank? All I know is there's a picture of the houses. Supposedly, at the Cook's place, they had just put up a brand new fence, like very recently. And I don't see any fences here. But I didn't go by the Cook's place, and I did not go to this area. But it seems that there's only a pasture across the street, and I don't see any houses back behind here either. So, but the brick house is where I believe Colin Court was staying. I don't know who the 2 white houses are. And you see that flatbed truck? Is that the flatbed truck? Like, what's going on there? Have they not picked up the flatbed truck yet? Is that the actual flatbed truck?
Take a look. So this is where the Twombly's lived. This is where they lived when they were arrested. You can see the welcome sign.
Is that what they're considering a flatbed truck? That looks flat to me. Is that Clint's truck? What is all this on it? I mean, I'm not a farmer, so I don't know. Okay. Are you going to bed, Rick? I think Rick's going to bed. Yeah. Okay, well, is that the truck? Is that the flatbed truck? Does anybody know? That's interesting.
This is where they lived when they were arrested. You can see the welcome sign right.
I would consider that a flatbed truck, wouldn't you?
So this is where the Twombly's lived. This is where they lived when they were arrested. You can see the welcome.
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think one of them houses is the Cooks. The only reason I say that is because I know 2 people that went to school with the Cooks, and they were telling me, because they were bruise cruising, they were telling me that the Cooks had put up a brand new fence, and I don't see any fences there. So, but I'm just going by what they told me. I don't think that I don't know who lives in them 2 houses. I would assume Frank. But according to the 2 guys that went to school with the Cookses, they had just put up a brand new fence, and I see absolutely no fence. And yes, this is Griggs. Am I muted? Can you not hear me? Do I have myself on mute? Wouldn't surprise me. No, I'm not muted. So, interesting. I don't know. Let me look at the video real quick that my friend sent me. Let's see if it's there's no houses across the street. Yeah, I think Ricky. Good night, Ricky. He said good night. Hello, Ricky. Oh, Ricky. I don't know, guys. I don't think the Cooks are here, though. I know that when the one day that we took Carrie's car, Tara was giving her the addresses of the Cookses, and I'm going to be honest, I didn't want to go there. And I threw a fit. And I said, if you're going there, take me back. I do not want to go there. Only because they had not been arrested yet. We had already been told that they could shoot us from a mile and a half away. And I wasn't going there to get shot. And I've still got a gun pulled on me after they got arrested. But we would have known what a Cook's was because Tara was telling Carrie, and she was driving there, and yeah, I was probably a bitch that day because I did not want to go there at all. Not while these people were still running free. So that's on me because Carrie was willing to go there that day, not me. So I don't know. That's where we're at. So we'll do some digging. But I don't believe, like I said, I know 2 guys that went to school with the Cooks. And the day that we were going to the schools and looking, they tracked me down. They even put gas in my car, which I wasn't expecting. And they visited with us. And that's when we heard the story about the Cooks and a gun to his head and things that didn't happen. But that was the rumor that was going around on that Friday night. So it hadn't been a week yet. It was actually, it might have been Saturday night. Could have been that Saturday night, so it would have been a week. On that Saturday night is when we were told that. Now, that whole recording that was done, I didn't get that till way longer. Way, way longer. I don't know, Nona. I'm just saying, I don't know. Beasley's is not right next door either. I mean, 15 miles is quite a bit out there in the rural area. So I don't know. I don't know. And why are we looking again? I guess I lost track here. We was trying to see who lives. I know we were trying to figure out who lives in the houses right here, and I would assume Frank would live in one. I don't know. I don't know. Deb. And no, I do not know. I would be, I'm just going by what they told me. They said the Cooks had just got a brand new fence. And then that's also when we were told that, like, the FDA came to inspect, and the Cooks refused to let them inspect. So I don't know. Supposedly the Twombly's have pigs too. Where's these pigs at that's supposed to be here? I don't know. I really don't. The Cooks had to be closed or close because how does Granny pick up kids at noon and Cole and Corey get home at noon? I don't know. I found Tiffany's to be quite a ways away from there, but maybe it's just because I was driving so much. It just seemed like it was quite the drive. That 15 miles in a rural area is quite the drive, especially when you're not on regular streets and you're on dirt roads. So I don't know. So tell me what we're trying to see where the Cooks is at.
Welcome sign right there in the front driveway. These are their dogs running out. But what's interesting is is
there a fence back there? They supposedly have a brand new fence. Okay, so if Cora and Cole were broke all the time, and listen, I know, Deb, you send me a lot of stuff, sweetheart. You send me a lot. If the Cooks do live over here, I mean, they own a butcher business, and Cora and Cole can't pay their electric bill. Why would they live in the brick house and the Cooks live in whatever them other houses are? I don't know. Hold on, I gotta let Weston in. I got my door shut.
It is, yeah. It's kind of like a horror movie. Take a look. So this is where the Twombleys lived. This is where they lived when they were arrested. You can see the welcome sign right there in the front driveway. These are their dogs running out. But what's interesting is right next to their house is this old abandoned school right here in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it's totally surrounded by farmland. This is called the old Plainview School, told that it closed a couple of decades ago. But what's interesting is we've heard from people in town that this is where the Gods Misfits meetings were held at times, which is a little confusing to the neighbors because it would be difficult to get into the school because it's all locked. But they also did tell me that there were times they would come by and they would see 12 or 15 cars out here, and it looked like there was some kind of meeting. And another interesting thing, you can see it's all overgrown. I mean, it's been abandoned for quite some time. But what's also interesting is you see this door of this on the school is all boarded up. One neighbor told me that when police came to investigate the murders and arrested the Twombleys, they actually kicked in the window there of the school to go inside as part of the investigation. What they found, we don't know. It's kind of eerie if you look inside the school through the window. I mean, it's all just relatively untouched from decades ago. You can even see there's like trophies and
Sorry, I had to get a
a
drink.
case down there.
Okay, let me see what you guys are saying. Let's see here. Usually it's not near there. No, he's closer to the Four Corners. I got the Cook's address, Rock. I sent it to you recently. Yeah, I've got so much stuff. Listen, I am not a pro at this. I'll be the first to say I'm not a pro at this. You sent me the Cook's address just now. Oh. Let's see. And anytime if somebody wants to come, I'll drop the link and you can come share stuff if you want to. Don't ever feel like a. Let's see here if you text me or if it's not. Oh, here we go. Nona sent me also, which I can't share from my phone to there. Should have sent it on Discord. An aerial view. And this looks like them three houses. And actually, let me see here. Yeah, it's them three houses in the Plainview School. Because I see the playground, so it's exactly what we walked. And across the street is nothing but field, because that semi was parked there. So I see that, but let me see what you said. Plainview straight down is Twombly's. Actually, Twombly's is the house that's back in the left corner, the brown one. Either the house to the left is Cook's, or more likely the one across the road to the left is Cook's. It's one of those. And Grice went there after the murders to get bandaged up. I'm sure he told the Cooks about it when he was telling his wife. I think all the kids were at Cook's, and probably Grice's wife was there too. Why ain't the Cooks arrested too? They knew everything, living right across the street from Cole and Cora, and Cole liked to drink and run his mouth. Yeah, I'm not sure they lived right across the street. That's all I'm saying. $10.48. It's suspects in. Yeah, I got that. Okay, I don't know. Sent you the Cook's address. I didn't get it. If you sent it, I mean, I could Google search it if you want to send it to me again. Please don't make me dig through all your messages, Deb, please. Sent you Cook's address. Cook's, I think, lived near Tad. Yeah, and Tad don't live right there. Okay. I listen, if I was guessing, that's all I'm doing at this moment, is one, why Frank Twombly lives in one of them houses by Cora and Cole. Who lives in the other one? I don't know. And again, the two guys that went to school with the Cooks said they put up a brand new fence. I don't see a brand new fence in any of this. So, I don't know. I wish I'd have known then, though, because I'm the one that told Brian what his school was and to go there. So,
Maybe didn't know everything about the murders or were involved, but maybe knew something. I think that
We were
I want to listen to this.
government group. You know, you keep saying that.
Back up just a little bit.
No, it's
Don't care about this. I know
how
my
odds.
went off. Give me just a minute.
been where the
Now,
meetings were either inside the school, maybe behind the school. And again, the Twomleys lived in the house right over there.
We were talking about God's Misfits.
Oh,
And I
yeah, you
wanted to
sent me
point
that.
out, too,
I
about
saw
God's
that.
Misfits.
I'm sorry.
We keep talking about it being an
There's so many
anti-government group.
addresses. So
You know,
which
you
one
keep
is
saying that, but it's also a group that's based in religion. So these people are supposed to be super religious and warriors for Christ. And they're having these meetings. And it's quite disturbing that these are the people that allegedly killed the two women. So I think it's something to keep in mind that when there is an organization that is like rooted, you know, an anti-government organization rooted in religion, wearing probably in cult territory.
And a lot of people have been questioning in the community whether there's going to be more arrests. Again, when I was out there, neighbors were saying, yeah, 12 to 15 people would meet out here. Is it possible that other people in the group maybe didn't know everything about the murders or were involved, but maybe knew something? I think that
We were actually
all that's
talking
under
about that
investigation.
because
I'm gonna watch this in I'll pull it up. If you send it to me in Discord, I can pull it up on my computer. I think. I don't know. I can do links. I don't know if I can do this.
because there are several names in the affidavit. The cooks who had the children overnight while the murders were taking place, the cook, Mr. and Mrs. Cook, and there is also a grandmother who allegedly knew what was going to happen because her grandson Wrangler, who is the father of the.
I'm just gonna tell you right now. I got addresses like a 31 HC1, Keys, Oklahoma. And then a Walsh, Colorado. Believe it or not, we went to Walsh, Colorado because we thought that they might be at the meatpacking plant. He had a butcher shop in Walsh County, Colorado, and we thought the women might possibly be there, and so we went there. So that address in Walsh, Colorado, I believe was their butcher shop. One they owned. And then there's an Elkhart address. There's another Walsh, Colorado. Walsh, Colorado, that's quite a ways away in Elkhart. So it'd be that 31 HC1. And while I'm doing this, I'll try to see
Children, Veronica's children, one of the victims. He also said, she claimed that she was told that by Wrangler that the custody issue wasn't going to be a problem anymore.
Interesting. Yeah. So, and the authorities have said everything is still under investigation. So we'll have to see how that plays out. We also, we spent a lot of time trying to track down people who knew the suspects, who knew the Twombleys, who knew Tad Cullum. And we were able to meet with a man who knew pretty much everyone involved, and especially Cole Twombly, since he was a young boy.
And Cora.
And Cora too. And what we found out, we had already known that, like, Grandma Tiffany was on the hospital board at one time, GOP chairperson. And, these are people who were influential in the community. And we learned also that Cole was the president of the 4-H club.
And Cora was the secretary.
Which is just so strange. I
mean, they held positions. It's a small town, but they held positions of power and of influence.
Yeah. And the man we interviewed, his name just escaped me.
It's Ted Embry.
Ted Embry, that's right.
And he actually was a bit older than the defendants, but he knew everybody and went to,
Let me see here. Sorry, you don't get to see Teddy again. When I put this in Google Maps, oops, this in there. It's hard to tell. I know they just put up a new fence, and the new fence would not be in this picture. I don't know. I was told that, but supposedly this is where the cooks live. This is the H1C1, the HC131. When I put in 31 HC1, this is what it brings up. That's all I'm lucky to. But I would assume the cooks have a fairly nice place compared to the other. I mean, $245,500. It says off market. Single family home built in 1922 on 4.21 acres. See if it has Plainview for a school. I don't know. Usually at the bottom it tells you what schools they go to. It has basement partly finished. A lot of homes in Oklahoma don't have basements. I'm trying to think of any of my family members that have basements. It's the price history. In 2012, the house was bought for $41,000, and now it's at $200-something thousand. There's another satellite view. Let's see if I can click on that. Oh, it's hard to tell. Let's see if I can do this. I can't tell. So this is satellite view, and if I put the arrows, it gives me that. So I'm trying to make it bigger, but it's hard to tell what anything is here with no glasses. So hopefully you guys can see it. I can't make it any bigger. It says use whatever that is to scroll to zoom the map, but I don't even see that little thing. So there's Midbright Homes. They go to Boise School. So they're in the Boise School District over there. Okay, that's where I'm at with it. Is that what you guys wanted? Is there anything else I need to look up? Trying to get it as close as I can, but that's as far as it lets me get it. There you go. So you're probably right. But I don't think they live right next door to the Twombly's. So let's see here. Teddy, you can keep him from my sight, but it will not dim the light of my love for him. Listen, you got a wonderful husband, and it's okay to look, but I'm telling you, Teddy would not have shaved his mustache when you had your cancer. You just don't look like the type of guy that was going to shave that mustache for anybody. I'm just saying. Just saying, Nona. I don't think he's going to shave his mustache for anybody. But I would love to go get one of the locals. I'd love to go talk to him too. Just for you, Nona. No. Just for you. We will go get an interview with Teddy. Because I think he would be quite the character. And I'm really curious, honestly. I want to do this one more time. Is that like a... Where he caught him at? Where he talked to him at? Probably the locals went to bed by now. But my question is that like apartments that he was at? Or what? Here you go, Nona. We're going to end the night with a good night just for you. But is these apartments? What is this? And where are they? We got to go find Teddy.
And Cole's
And his name was what? Teddy... What's his last name? Teddy something.
religious beliefs. Listen to what he said to us. What was your reaction when you found out that Cole wanted to be a preacher?
I thought, who in the hell would want to go to that church? You know? Well, good for him, but I don't think it's going to work. I don't know how in the world you...
This looks like apartments. Where in the hell are these apartments at? It's interesting, because these look like apartment buildings to me. What do I know?
can be one thing and then all of a sudden just roll over and you're something else.
But why do you think the Twombly's ended up in this group, God's Misfits? I mean, you've known Cole since he was a child.
I think it was a financial deal, and I think he's always looking for some way to get a dollar out of somebody, I guess.
Now, I will say this. My friend's child was in the 4-H when they showed cows, okay? And then cows were too expensive, and then they started doing pigs. But I was told that they didn't even have money to pay for their electric bill. So what Teddy's saying, known as Love for Teddy, Teddy's saying he would do anything to make a buck. Anything to make a buck. So, interesting.
To go to that church, you know? Well, good for him, but I don't think it's going to work. I don't know how in the world you can be one thing and then all of a sudden just roll over and you're something else.
But why do you think the Twombly's ended up in this group, God's Misfits? I mean, you've known Cole since he was a child.
I think it was a financial deal, and I think he's always looking for some way to get a dollar out of somebody, I guess.
When you say financial deal, I mean, because we know that Tiffany, Adams, and Tad, other suspects, had quite a bit of money. I mean, do you think that he was motivated by that to be part of the group, or?
No. It could very well be a hotel, but where's this hotel at? Because Griggs don't have a hotel. Boise City don't have a hotel. They got a brand new one that's not open yet. And they got a really run down one that I would call it a motel. So I'm not sure where this is at. Where they would have met at. Is this in Guyman? This very well could have been in Guyman. I don't know.
I don't think so. I think he started it in
Lavender. I just saw your comment. Yeah, she's saying the same thing. Maybe Guyman. Lavender would know. That don't look like anything that would be. I did not see that in Boise City, and that don't look like anything that would be in Griggs or Geese. That's for sure. So it would have to be Guyman, wouldn't you think? That's what I think too. I think you're right, and I hadn't seen your comment, but I agree. I think it would have to be Guyman, because there is a brand new hotel being put up in Boise City. I don't think it's open yet. Still. It don't look like that. And I bet that's Guyman. Because I ain't seen anything like that in my running around there. And Lavender would know too. I don't think she's seen that in Boise City. So, but that's my guess.
And they come to him. I think they all come together about the same time.
It was interesting what he said about the financial motivation.
Yeah.
What did he mean by that? I had to ask you a couple times what you thought he meant.
I think he was talking about the fact that Cole never really had a great business acumen, and that he wasn't a terribly hard worker. And these were things that he said to us, and that he also said on camera. But he also was talking about that he had suspicions that he had started this church as a way to make some money for financial benefit. And, you know, he's not the first person to have a church where they ask you to give money to it. So I can't, we're not saying that is so terribly wrong, but he said that for Cole, he probably was looking for an easy way to make some money.
Yeah.
And I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah, and that he also, I mean, we have a long interview. We only played a clip, but, you know, he also said Cole was an alcoholic, became an alcoholic, that they wouldn't really work very much, slept in till the afternoon. He wasn't very impressed. He's known Cole since he was a kid. He didn't seem very impressed with the man.
You know, the thing that really captured my attention is he said that as recently, he hadn't seen him in a couple of months, so maybe he had sobered up, and that prior to that, he used to order like a gallon of sort of whiskey every month, I guess.
Hold on.
I don't know. He used to order.
Say that again. Talks about Cole's drinking. A gallon of whiskey?
He said that as recently, he hadn't seen him in a couple of months, so maybe he had sobered up, and that prior to that, he used to order like a gallon of some sort of whiskey every month, I guess it was, or I don't know. He used to order. He said that he used to order a lot of whiskey, and that so maybe, as far as he knows, maybe he's sober now, but last time it seemed was just a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
So he just was skeptical of his becoming a preacher suddenly and being a man of God, and not so sure he'd want to be, not so sure, totally sure he didn't want to be at that church.
And he had also had dealings with Paul Grice. They had met up on like a business dealing with something that they were working together on. He was selling Paul something.
Yes, he was selling
yeah.
Paul something.
And that was after the murders, which is interesting to hear him talk about that. And I said, well, what did Paul Grice act strange at all? And he said, well, I got this weird feeling. I didn't want to do business with him anymore. And he said, well,
Now,
I got
this
this
is
weird.
something that is new to us. Keddy was doing business with Grice after the fact. Yeah, AKK man, I'm pretty sure that's Diamond. But weird. Keddy's saying that he was doing business with Grice afterwards. He didn't say what business after the murders.
Had also
Weird.
had dealings with Paul Grice. They had met up on like a business dealing with something that they were working together on. He was selling Paul something.
Yes, he was selling
yeah.
Paul something.
And that was after the murders, which is interesting to hear him talk about that. And I said, well, what did Paul Grice act strange at all? And he said, well, I got this weird feeling. I didn't want to do business with him anymore. I don't know what it was, but a feeling came over me. That was interesting.
And there was also the issue of him that Paul Grice and that they carried was it Paul Grice that carried the sidearm?
It
Or was it just Cole?
It was Paul Grice and Cole.
Right.
Yeah.
So Paul Grice and Cole both carried, it's an open carry state. And apparently, although all these guys have guns, very few people carry them on their hip, especially during a business deal.
Yeah.
And we heard this from another source as well, and they thought it was odd.
Yeah.
Mr. and Mrs. Cook. And there's all.
Hold on. I hit the buttons.
Yeah.
It's not odd. I don't find it odd. We're in the city and we're open carry, and I see people with guns on their hips all over the place. Smith, go lay down. So, with that said, I don't find it odd that they both had their guns on their hips. So, I hit the button. Damn it! Sorry.
That's what you thought he meant.
I think he was talking about the fact that Cole never really had a great business acumen, and that he wasn't a terribly hard worker. And these are things that he said to us. Has lived in this community a long time.
And that is
I
exactly
think it
what
was
my
a
friend
financial
said.
deal.
That's exactly what my friend said. That half the time their electricity was getting shut off, and they was trying to figure out ways to turn on their electricity. So.
And I think he's always looking for some way to get a dollar out of somebody, I guess.
When you say financial deal, I mean.
Anyway, it's interesting that he's
really had a great business acumen, and that he wasn't a terribly hard worker. And these are things that he said to us, and that he also said on camera. But he also was talking about that he had suspicions that he had started this church as a way to make some money for financial benefit. And he's not the first person to have a church where they ask you to give money to it. So I can't, we're not saying that is so terribly wrong, but he said that for Cole, he probably was looking for an easy way to make some money.
Yeah.
And I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah, and that he also, we have a long interview. We only played a clip, but he also said Cole was an alcoholic, became an alcoholic, that they wouldn't really work very much, stayed, slept in till the afternoon. He wasn't very impressed. He's known Cole since he was a kid. He didn't seem very impressed with the man.
The thing that really captured my attention is he said that as recently, he hadn't seen him in a couple of months, so maybe he had sobered up, and that prior to that, he used to order like a gallon of some sort of whiskey every month, I guess it was, or I don't know. He used to order, he said that he used to order a lot of whiskey, and that so maybe, as far as he knows, maybe he's sober now, but last time it seemed was just a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
So he just was skeptical of his becoming a preacher suddenly and being a man of God, and not so sure he'd want to be, totally sure he didn't want to be at that church.
And he had also had dealings with Paul Grice. They had met up on like a business dealing with something that they were working together on. He was selling Paul something.
Yes, he was selling Paul something.
And that was after the murders, which is interesting to hear him talk about that. And I said, well, what did Paul Grice act strange at all? And he said, well, I got this weird feeling. I didn't want to do business with him anymore. I don't know what it was, but a feeling came over me. That was interesting.
And there was also the issue of him that Paul Grice and that they carried was it Paul Grice that carried the sidearm?
It
Or was it just Paul?
It was Paul Grice and Cole.
Right.
Yeah.
So Paul Grice and Cole both carried, it's an open carry state. And apparently, although all these guys have guns, very few people carry them on their hip, especially during a business deal.
Yeah.
And we heard this from another source as well. And they thought it was odd.
Yeah.
We sort of thought, well, why would you think that's odd? But apparently it is.
It was interesting. He said to us, look, we all have guns. Like, he even said, I've got a gun close to me right now. That's just the culture. I mean, they're ranchers, they're farmers. It is what it is. That's
I've
what
got
it
a
is.
gun near me, so don't ask a bad
Yeah.
question.
No, right. So, but he said, when something about Paul and Tad having the gun visible when they would meet for business transactions, he just found to be unusual. He said, we don't really do that way.
Which was it totally, I totally thought back to the other source that we had talked to who said,
I'm going to say it's not unusual. Again, Wichita is Kansas is an open carry state, and even the city. You see people, there are certain buildings they can't take their gun in. But a lot of people run around, even in the city here, with them on their hip. So I don't find that strange. I see it a lot.
Exactly the same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. So it was an interesting couple of days. Again, I can't believe how much we drove. I can't, the tanks of gas you go through on these trips, we were in Oklahoma, we were in Texas.
Let me tell you, Brian, I believe you, because if you guys even had a clue how much I spent in just gas, you would freak out.
We were in Kansas, we're close to New Mexico, Colorado. Everything is spread out. People are starting to open up and talk to us though. And
I think that they were before. I think though there's still a few people waiting to see if other people are going to be arrested. I think there is some concern about these defendants making bail.
Yeah.
I don't think that Paul Grice is thinking he's going to be making bail based on the comments he made to you that he misses his family.
And he also can't afford a private attorney, which is interesting.
So,
He's gonna have a public
they're
defender.
capital crimes. It's very rare for someone to get bail in a capital crime.
So we will stay on the story. We're leaving town now, but we'll be back when there's any developments. And I think we got to board our flight soon. All right, see you guys.
Bye.
The other thing that was strange is because Dan and Brooke told me this. They were flying into Tulsa and driving all the way over. That's quite a drive. It's quite a drive. Looks like an older hotel. I think it's apartments, but it could be an older hotel. I don't know, but I do believe it's a Diamond. That's my best guess. I'm not sure. Not sure, but I'm going to track old Teddy Embry down. I'm going to remember Embry because I watched Jay Embry on the Idaho 4 case. So hopefully we got it all figured out. Tomorrow I'm going to be busy. I did get my lab results back, but I do not know how to read them. My daughter, I was reading some of them too because I don't know how to read them. But it looks like my white blood cells are off the chart, and so is my white blood cells are off the chart. I just got them today in the portal, so I'm not a medical professional, but we'll see. Tomorrow I'm having a mammogram and seeing a doctor. So, with that said, have we covered everything? Now, let's not forget that Friday, today's Wednesday, yeah, Friday will be the 28th, which would be Veronica's birthday. So, say a prayer for the family because this is going to be their first birthday without her too. It's going to be rough on them, for sure. Again, to the family, if you are watching this channel, we're just trying to get the answers and trying to make sure that everything's covered. You would like to think that, and I would like to think, but there was a point, there was a point when shit was getting released and I was paying for the copies and I was sending them to Veronica's mom and her dad before any news station showed them so that they would know what was released. So I wasn't always this horrible person that they don't like. But I am about to cruise and making sure that everything gets out there that we can. And again, you got to keep your some distant family there seems to really keep inserting themselves, and it's really strange. It's really strange that that family member is hanging out with Wrangler's grandma too. So I mean that's kind of messed up, I guess. I don't know what's going on there. I have no clue. Did anybody have? I could help you understand them. What? Understand who? What do you mean? Did I say that you could help me understand them? I don't understand. Yeah. You don't help me understand. Like, I get it. And I would say to the family, if it bothers you, people talking about it, just don't go to them channels so you don't have to see it. At least it's not on national news, you know what I mean? But we are trying to make sure that for our own pieces of mind, that we get everything right. Oh, my lab work. Well, I'm sure he'll call me in to get them, but yeah. My daughter wanted me to read them to her, and when I said the first one, she said, "Oh my God, that's horrible. Cancer, cancer, cancer." I said, "Okay, well, I'm not reading you nothing else. I'm going to opt out to tell you anything." To my daughter. She's got enough voice. Nona's still hooked on Teddy. Yeah, listen, Christopher, we're going to be checking Teddy Embry out and maybe get an autograph for her. So, hell, maybe he'll start his own show like Yellowstone, you know? What do you think? I don't know. Anyway, guys, 3 hours, 29 minutes. It's a lot. Let's see here. Does anybody have any more questions? I don't want to walk away from this without anybody missing anything. Was there anything else we needed to look up? And we were looking up Cook's Y to see how far they was from. Well, how did they live by Tad either? Because one thing I will say that it seems like 15 miles seems like a long ways out there on them dirt roads. So, but I don't know. I just don't know. Thank you, Nona. I appreciate it. I don't even know if I want to know. I don't even know if I want to know. They want to schedule an MRI, and I'm not even going to do it. I'm already wore out from the doctor. Like, I could go another 10 years without a doctor. That's how I feel sometimes. But tomorrow I won't be going live. Friday again. You know, it's going to be the first time without Veronica for her birthday. It's going to be a rough one. I know it will be for them. And I keep looking every Sunday to see if Peter's preaching at that church yet. And I have not seen him yet. They do their church on Sundays live. Less than 10 minutes to drive for a crazy driver like you. I do drive fast. I will say that. Especially if I think somebody is following me. Like when them oil or them water wells, them irrigation wells, they sounded like a badass Harley up on the side of my window. Me and Carrie were honestly freaking the freak out. Listen, I didn't say that word. I said freak. I'm doing better. And I nailed it. And she kept seeing headlights, she said. So, like, yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy, crazy, crazy. There's some crazy things that happened down there. Am I scared to go down there? No, I am not scared. Do I think the sheriff, the Texas County Sheriff, would like to throw me in jail for some reason? Yes. Oh, I want to show you guys this. I do want to show you this real quick. Yes, don't be jealous, Chris. I was going to make a remark about, you know, the D guy, the other guy. But Christopher, Nona, if you only knew. Like, for some reason, the guy with the red glasses seems to think that Christopher has the hots for him. And I tried to explain to them all that Listen, they're hateful over there to Christopher, and Christopher's always went there. Like, I don't tell people where they can go, but somebody was talking about May and said she was pretty, and Christopher was talking about May, but not in a rude way. And they told Derek that they thought Derek had a crush on thought Christopher had a crush on him. So there was this one other thing I wanted to show you, and then we'll get out of here. And I shared it in Discord, and I don't know if you guys saw it, but it's body cam, and let me see if I can get to it really quickly. That's what I want to try to do. Oh, Debbie sent me something. What did you send me? Oh yeah, I looked it up on my phone, so I did get that. So I pulled up this last night. I just couldn't sleep after I got that damn migraine. Usually I have to turn the lights off, no music, no nothing. But this, I want to show you guys this. Let's see here. Let me pull it up. Stop it. I'm going to stop it. I want you guys to see this. This is crazy. And this might be why Texas County don't want to wear body cam. I said if you're not doing good things, then that would be the only reason why I would see that you would not wear body cams. Okay, so what is going on here that I'm fixing to show you? It's a sheriff officer, and he's catching all these people with drugs on them, okay? And he's wearing a body cam. Well, nowhere in the body cam can they find it, and this one guy comes from a pretty prominent family. You know, sometimes when you're watching TV and it switches, yes, they were hateful to me too. But you know what? I don't care as long as they don't make fun of Rick. I could give a shit less what any of the mods say, period. I went there for May and Hope. They come watch here. I went and watched there. But when people start bringing my husband into it, I draw a line. You can fuck with me all you want, or freak with me all you want, but we ain't having freak-offs either. But, you know, do not bring my husband into it or anybody else. I am responsible for my own actions. And with that being said, it really pissed me off, and I ended up calling because I travel a lot. I go out of town a lot. And I would never, ever cheat on my husband ever anyway. I'm totally against cheating. And I just find it very disrespectful. Very disrespectful. I would never disrespect, even if I didn't like somebody, I would never disrespect their spouse. So I think we got it under control because I called immediately. And they were still on air. But as far as what the mods think about me, I could give two shits what the mods think about me. Like, straight up. And if May and Hope didn't want me in their chat, I wouldn't go there. So, and I told them that. But they come here and they speak freely, and I'll be honest with you, everybody, I don't even know what their screen names are. You know what I mean? I don't know. So, I felt like they support me. I really liked them that day they went to court, and I could really feel Hope's hurt over being friends with Cole. And it just is, it is what it is. But listen, I got pretty tough skin. I can handle a lot of shit. But start going after bringing my family into it, and we're going to have issues. And we're going to have more issues than just me telling you to stop, I can promise you. So, just keep that shit out of there. Okay, so this is a sheriff officer, and this is where he got caught. But anyway, he made all these arrests, and this is, I want you guys to go watch it. But he makes all these arrests, and he is turning his body camera on and off, but they're not catching it. Okay, they're not catching it until this one lady, but this one guy, he owns a business, very prominent, and they found methamphetamine needle in his car. There's no way. An officer says, well, you got to be careful who you have in the car. Da, 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 da. Well, they caught him. They finally caught the officer. And let's see if I can show you.
And we saw that there was a clear baggie in Wester's hand during the stop.
Okay. So anyway, it was this lady where they caught him. After he's been writing all these tickets and all these DUIs and all these drug charges. And the people swear they never did drugs, didn't have anybody in their car. Well, this particular sheriff officer would make sure his camera was off or turned to where you couldn't see him drop the bag of dope or the needle, but he gets caught. He
wanted to show
Those are the
until
body
it came to the Teresa Odom video. That's when he really slipped up.
Deputy Westwood Jackson County Sheriff's Office, reason for my stop is your brake lights. They work 1 minute and the next minute they don't work. You got your driver's license on you, ma'am?
I just got tickets the other day. I'll be glad to show
Oh,
them
did
to
you?
you.
No, you're fine. Would you consent to a search of your vehicle? You're fine with that? Okay.
You know, we saw in the Teresa Odom case where there was a frame-by-frame shot of his body camera. And we saw that there was a clear baggie in Wester's hand during the stop.
You can physically see a packet.
This is the one guy that started all the trouble because he owns a business and makes a lot of money. And this sheriff officer supposedly found a needle with the orange cap on it in his car. And it was very heart-wrenching.
With a white powder in his hand before he puts his glove on, which he later finds that same packet in Teresa Odom's truck.
It is yogurt, sir.
I know. Okay.
It's yogurt.
How about this, sir?
That is not mine. No, sir.
I'm not going to ask you any
No,
direct-
sir.
I'm not going to ask you any direct questions. I'm going to read you your rights first, okay?
That's what blew the case wide open in reality. What you see in his hand before he ever searches the truck. That's what really, really got him in trouble.
Authorities discover a stash of drugs and paraphernalia hidden in the trunk of Wester's patrol car. After an investigation by the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, it's suspected that Zachary Wester planted narcotics in dozens of traffic stops. In 2019, Wester is arrested, and he's ultimately charged.
Now, let me tell you this. Another reason why I believe, and it's my opinion, that Texas County don't want to wear body cam is because they're not doing things right, because everything is caught on body cam.
Charged with 67 crimes with respect to 12 victims: racketeering, official misconduct, fabricating evidence, false imprisonment, perjury, and possession of controlled substances and drug paraphernalia.
The first thing that I thought was this deputy wants to get involved in some type of narcotics unit. So he's trying to pad his numbers. What we kept seeing during these traffic stops was it seemed to always be methamphetamine. Nothing really surprises me there. You know, we still have a methamphetamine problem across the United States. A proactive law enforcement officer, you stumble upon drugs on a frequent basis. He's trying to show that he goes out here, he makes big cases. I worked in a unit that focused on street level narcotics, and it's hard to get into these units.
He gave me a piece of advice. Sometimes the people you think you can trust are the very ones you shouldn't. That has stuck with me as the most chilling thing he said. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have trusted the police officer standing in front of me. And how awful is that to have to say? When you think of all the other people before me and after me who he played the same game with, and he won those. He had no fear in what he was doing. To have that kind of power and use it that way, it's disgusting.
Zachary Wester may have been arrested, but he is presumed innocent. The more challenging issue now is, can prosecutors prove Zachary Wester is guilty?
I am surprised and alternately impressed that the DA's office actually took this to trial, because I think that everybody in law enforcement in the DA's office, they knew at the pit of their stomach that there was something really wrong here, but convincing people who are not in the industry, a jury of just regular folks, that this was a deviation.
Anyway, so for years he got away with planting drugs on people, even had it hidden in his patrol car. And it goes to trial. This
In
is
my left hand, but I wanted to be able to still use my fingers. Before I put my gloves on, I moved my hand and I placed that item in the driver's side floorboard, and I continued my search.
The state was showing these still photos. There's something in your hand.
Sure.
There is something in your hand.
Absolutely.
Was it that bag of methamphetamine that's sitting there on that spoon right now?
It was not, no.
It was obvious to me that Wester had been coached a lot for his testimony. That's not uncommon. Wester had done his homework and really prepped for the questions that were probably going to be asked by the state prosecution.
Where on your body camera video do we see you handle that baggie and either picking it up or putting it down or looking at it closely to determine what's in it? Whenever I put that baggie in the front driver's side floorboard, I never seen it again. I'm not sure if it's because when a semi came through, it blew it into the roadway. There was really no need for me to go walk across 231 at the busiest time of the day to try to find something that I didn't even know was evidentiary value or not. Why'd you set it down on the floorboard if you didn't know if it had evidentiary value or not? So that I could search the vehicle. How about searching what's in your hand? How about that?
I didn't expect him to actually get on the stand. He kept like move his nose. He was very twitchy and nervous the whole time. He lost his cool on the stand several times with the state attorney.
Your theory was that because mom had been in the car at some point and mom had been a meth user years before, that even if they were in accidental possession, that you went ahead and arrested them. I did. And here's the thing. Most of the time, they deny knowledge. So, Mr. Williams, you're presenting to this jury that in the First Circuit where you work, that if someone says that they didn't know about the narcotics, you're just going to drop the case on every single narcotics charge that comes on your desk? Sir, you know that's not what I'm saying. It sounds to me that's what you're saying. Okay. Well, thank you for your input. I'll remind you, as you're aware, that I asked the questions. You answer them. Sure.
I just really believe that he came across a little cocky, a little arrogant versus, hey, I'm truly innocent here.
The goal of the body camera is to allow someone else in this very court system, perhaps, to see what you or any other deputy would see.
Say that again. Foley needs to pay attention. That's why you have a body cam, Texas County.
Versus, hey, I'm truly innocent here.
The goal of the body camera is to allow someone else in this very court system, perhaps, to see what you or any other deputy would see while they had that body camera on. Isn't that right? Body cameras are very beneficial. Yes. Not for Reginald Williams. We don't have one, right? So why don't we have one for him? If the body camera video for Mr. Reginald Williams would not have been deleted from the server, this jury would have had a chance to review that body camera. Who deleted it? Mr. Williams, I don't know. If someone deleted it, did they delete the front part of the manual video? Did they go in and delete that as well? Mr. Williams, I've already testified as to the first part of that manual video, and I made it very clear that the body camera experienced a malfunction. And it so happened that that missed the part where you would have first gotten into the car and had a chance to see the syringe in the baggie. Is that right? I would disagree with that. That's not when the error occurred? I would disagree with that. Then why isn't it on the video? Mr. Williams, I've explained this to you 3 or 4 times now as far as why that is not on the video. Is there some reason you will not answer that to the jury? The body camera error occurred as soon as the traffic stop was initiated.
The defense's case was actually pretty solid. And it's not really due to the defense attorney. It was Wester's covering of his actions. He had an explanation for everything. He had cut his body cam on and off at certain times perfectly and explained it away as a malfunction. You know, and they questioned people involved in IT in that department. You know, is this a possibility? Well, yeah, it's a possibility. It's a body cam.
Now, you've testified that you saw Kimberly Hazelwood reach down and put that Excedrin bottle in that trash bag. Is that right? Yes. Where's that on the video? The body camera doesn't pick it up. Okay.
But whenever you look through the back window, you will be surprised at how a body camera, how it darkens things. And you have to remember, a body camera sees a narrow field of view. It sees what it wants to see. So I was able to see that with my eyes through that back glass.
That was tough to sit in the courtroom and say, I don't know how he did it, but I know he did. And I hope there's enough evidence to prove it. The packet being in his hand before he put his glove on. The fact that he didn't have him finding anything on camera. It was just there. So the jury really had to go by their belief in whether or not he was a dirty cop.
And to the jury this case went. Would they believe Zachary Wester was upholding the law or breaking the law? After deliberating more than 7 hours over the course of 2 days, this was the jury's decision.
We, the jury, find as follows as to the counts charged and the information. Count 1, guilty of racketeering as charged. Count 2, not guilty. Count 3, not guilty. Count 4, not guilty. Count 7, guilty of official misconduct related to Teresa Odom as charged.
In a split decision, the jurors found Zachary Wester guilty of 19 charges, including racketeering, official misconduct, false imprisonment, and possession, but not guilty on 48 other charges.
So I think they came back with the right verdict, convicting him on the charges that they had the strongest evidence on.
There were so many more not guilties called out than there were guilty verdicts. And that was rough to hear. As someone who went through it, he's getting off on all of these cases. But in the end, after all was said and done, he was found guilty on charges relating to 3 of the people involved. Myself, Stephen Van, and Teresa Odom. In that moment, you're like, someone realized that this wasn't right. And you start thinking that maybe he'll get the time he deserves.
As to count 1, racketeering, which is a first-degree felony, you are sentenced to serve 5 years in the Florida Department of Corrections. As to count 7, official misconduct, 18 months. As to count 31, fabricating evidence, 1 year and 1 day. As to count 64, that's false imprisonment, you were sentenced to serve 1 year and 1 day. Therefore, it is the intention of the court that you were sentenced to serve a total of 12 years, 6 months, and 8 days in the Florida Department of Corrections.
There's no one that dislikes a dirty cop more than I do. It's wrong. It taints the agency. It taints the badge. Actions and behavior like this in law enforcement will not be tolerated, and you will be held accountable for your actions.
People
held accountable if you have body cameras. Anyway, I wanted to show you guys that because I do believe that's the reason why Texas County does not wear body cameras, because they don't want to have to account for their actions. And that's about it, guys. It is messed up. It is messed up. It could happen to any of us. That's why if I was in that area, I looked up Kansas law or your Oklahoma law. It says you must wear body cameras. They have them. They don't say a little provision in it that says the sheriff gets to choose whether or not you wear body cameras. So that I could see. So that's my opinion on it. So if you're not a dirty cop and you're not doing dirty shit, you'd be wearing your body cameras. Anyway, this happened to pop up too. And when something gets done, when you're watching it, my stuff always brings up A&E or Law and Crime. So, and I like it. And I'll start watching it. But gonna keep pushing for them body cameras to be put on the officers there, the deputies there in Texas County. I find it to be very important. And, you know, they're out in rural areas. Why wouldn't they want to be wearing their body camera? What if they get ambushed? Don't you want the body camera to catch it? Like, again, would like me. Makes no sense. I'm not going to stop with it. So you might as well put your body cameras on. If Because I don't care if I have to go see Elon Musk or if I have to go see Dan Bongino and tell them that Oklahoma's crooked, their cops are crooked, and they're refusing to wear body cameras. So I'm not going to stop. I'm one of the people. You can do what you want, say what you want, but I'm not going to stop. I'm a thorn in your side, and I'll keep being a thorn in your side. Be a good Ellie. Do good Ellie work. You won't hear me dog your good Ellie work. I'll praise you for your Ellie work. But definitely, this is not gonna. It's not gonna keep. It's not gonna keep going on this way. I don't think it's safe for your citizens that you are elected. They elect you. Somebody needs to run against you. My God, they really need to run against you. But anyway, that's my 2 cents worth of it all. Of it all. Again, you know, it's a year and 1 day that Wrangler's been sober. So we'll keep him on the right track, keep things going. And I was going to play something. I was going to play the rest of the song that Bianca has on our thing. Let's see here. Let's see if I can share it. You guys always get to hear what she played for me, but you don't ever get to hear the whole song. So we're going to play it real quick. Might get cut out. But anyway, thanks. Love all you. Much love. It was a long one. It is what it is. Let's see here. I'm going to cut out the whistle. Get out of the whistle. Yeah, and I don't take no shit. I don't back down, and I don't play fool either. So that's how it is. The more you push me to back down, like sending me some bogus ass paperwork for court and shit, the more I fight. Listen, I do my best work under pressure. I will say that. Forward a little bit to the whistling. You guys probably hadn't heard the whole song, so. Anyway, there you go. That's where she got the song from. So, New Breed with Outlaw Nation. Much love to that whole family in the Outlaw Nation and all of you guys. With that said, have a great Thursday. And I hope we answered everything. Listen, if you come up with questions, put it in the comments of the video. I read the comments. The mods read the comments. So, if you have any questions or you want us to go over something, let us know and we'll work on it. Otherwise, you're going to keep rock ramblings in here too, because I'm just going to I'm dabbling through. I'll be rambling and dabbling through, trying to figure it out. Oh. Okay. Don't forget to sign up. There you go. Night all. Much love. Remember, stay frosty, stay strapped, and stay alert.